we see the main character's legs, excruciatingly scary. Next, the main character runs past people who are lying down. We are shown a distant view of the man on the bridge. I struggled. We see a fight scene where one person fights off a group of people, but he always stayed where he was. We see a man walking down the street with a piece of pipe in his right hand. At the moment when I decided to give up everything, I realized. Close-up shows the main character's face, that everything will be fine if you immediately deal with the problems. We are shown a lot of people who follow one person. If someone accuses me of being wrong, they will get an answer. We see two students who are scared. I was abandoned, so I have to survive, and do everything not to die. We see a scene where a large number of people approach the school, and it scares the students of the school. Close-up of the school clock, which is located at the entrance to the school. A school teacher stands at the blackboard. Well, don't go to sleep, now we will write the exam. We see a guy who is enthusiastically thinking about something, looking at a book. This guy wrote a will in words. I'm going to die. We see the guy continuing to write on a blank piece of paper. Before I die, I want to write in this will what my school life was like. My school life was hell. Happy birthday. 3 men beat up 1 man who fell to the ground. Happy birthday. Favorite. A person lying on the ground tries to protect himself from blows while covering his head. Limb. We are shown the faces of people who beat up a man lying on the ground. Yes. June. One of the attackers trampled on the food of a guy lying on the ground. Why don't you eat? The guy lying on the ground sees the trampled food in front of him. That's it, haha. Oh, how disgusting. The trio who beat up the guy laughed at him and filmed the consequences of their actions on the phone. Then we see a photo of one of the abusers and a guy who is beaten up. He is held by the face, forcing a smile out of him. We see a sheet on which the guy who is beaten up wrote. Lee Doyen threw the cake on the floor and made me eat it. And with a grin, he videotaped it. They say that a person gets used to everything, but Loshak, where is your gratitude? Lidoyan said. He continued. For celebrating your birthday, you idiot. He said all this while sitting astride the guy he had beaten up earlier. When the housekeeper was bullied, I felt disgusting. You can't get used to it. Asshole, do you like that you don't have any friends? What would have happened to you if it hadn't been for me? Ha ha. Lidoyan continued while sitting astride the main character. The bell rang. Let's go, Minatochku, Lidoyan said. Fly away. Swinging a slap in front of the main character. La Chapetta flip-flops, added Lidoyan. Dropping my flip-flops on the floor. The group headed to school. Isn't it Korean now? We'll be in trouble if we're late. We need to go faster, Lidoyan said. Hey Loshak, buy a new cake tomorrow. We'll celebrate your next birthday in advance. Ha ha, the main character said. Aha. Thinking about Lidoyan being a jerk. I was already sick of Lidoyan, but I still went to school. Next, we see the main character walking on the sand. However, someone suddenly called out to the main character. Hey, Lim Dajun, the bell for class has already rung. The teacher shouted from the classroom. Run to class. The main character went to school with his head down. The children in the classroom were discussing what was happening in front of them. I really feel sorry for Lim Dajun. Someone was making fun of him again. Something sounded in Lim's head. Don't laugh, Lim Dajun, the jerk. The audience screamed in humiliation. Lim Dajun, the jerk. If I were you, I'd have opened up long ago. Something sounded in Lim's head. Don't mock me. Then the main character imagined in his head as if he was standing completely naked on stage in front of a huge audience. Something sounded in Lim's head. Don't look. You are welcome. We saw Lim with tears in his eyes, by mentally saying, Leave me alone. I've made a decision that I won't take it anymore. We see Lim writing a suicide note. I want peace of mind. Finished. We see the main character looking at a piece of paper. Everything is perfect. Next, we see the suicide note sheet itself. The main character thought about it. I would have won first place if there was a will writing contest. What will be the feelings after death? We see how the main character imagines what will happen to him after death. I don't know. Overall, is Doyoung to blame? We see how the abuser is taken away by law enforcement agencies. The abuser screams, "No, it's not me. That jerk died on his own." The main character reflects further. "You will be punished." We can see Lee Doyoung being dragged away by the police from a different angle. He screams, "Oh, it's not my fault." The main character thinks, "It's a pity that I won't be able to see it with my own eyes." Next, we see a semi-transparent protagonist who is smiling. But in your mind it looks fun. But then we see the whole family of the main character who is at the funeral. "What about my family?" Lim reflects. "My brother is a nerd." We are shown his brother wearing glasses and reading something. The main character adds, "I think that even in the funeral hall, he will learn Jian." We are shown the main character's sister. "It will probably stick in your phone." "Mom, Dad, I wasn't a diligent student, and I couldn't do anything." We are shown a close-up of Lim's parents. "Will you grieve?" But still before death, we see Lim walking somewhere inside the school. Lim thinks it over. "Do I need to say goodbye to them?" Next, we see almost the entire family eating at the table. We see a close-up of the main character's father and sister. The main character wonders, "Where's Mom?" My brother answers, "I don't know, maybe he'll come back later." My brother finished his meal and got up from the table. "I ate." The main character turns to his father. "Dad, I have a conversation." The main character continues, "Recently I often cheated and asked for money, I'm sorry." In my head, the main character has already said goodbye to his father. "Dad, goodbye," father said, and, "Dajun, you." They show us a close-up of my father. "Can you move over? I can't see the TV because of you." The main character is in an unpleasant shock. Yeah. The following sounds came from the TV screen. The police found a murder at the school. The main character turned around to see what was going on. It was decided to disclose the personal information of the main suspect in the murder case. Majum, a sophomore, gave up. After a brutal murder, there are 7 people in the class. We see a student being taken out of school and filmed by a bunch of lenses. Reporters ask, "Student Majum, how were you bullied? Don't you feel remorseful for your actions?" "Gentlemen, I don't." We see the face of the prime suspect. The killer was added by a student. "That's crazy," said the main character's father. "Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think it makes any difference that they were bullied? How can you kill for this? Do you know all my victims? Met them." The main character is at school from what he heard. "The assholes who threw mud at my family and made me live like hell every day." Then comes the list of those killed. Kim Haejin, Lee Woobin, Kim Seungti, T Donghyun, Hwang Juwon, Tang Wooju, Kang Yeon. These are monsters. The accused added it. "Have they experienced this pain before? I don't consider them human anymore," the suspect added. From the window, the parents of the victims screamed, "Crazy bastard, bring back my son. Do you see it? People who like me are called lashki. People always say that you need to forgive those who bullied you." The suspect continues, "The cops are talking. Please don't ask any more questions. Others don't care about us at all. We need to deal with everything ourselves. Don't commit suicide." The killer continued to scream, "Don't you feel sorry for yourself? Do you have to die because of some assholes?" The main character at this moment was in shock from what he heard. "So, no matter what, you must live," the killer screamed. "That you won't die," he continued. We see a scene where the main character seems to be right in front of the killer. The killer screams, "Kill them, it's coming from the TV." The police stop talking about Ma Jong-gong's unexpected behavior. Disputes over the punishment do not subside, because the criminal was a victim of those killed. The main character's father said, "I found something to be proud of," he continued. "How can you kill because of bullying? Complete nonsense." We see the drooping face of the main character. At the same time, the main character clapped his hands to the one who killed his abusers. He even got up from his chair. It was all happening in his head. Right. Currently, the main character was still in shock from what he had heard. He was thinking, "Why should I die?" Next, we see Lim lying in bed and looking at his phone. He can't sleep a wink and stares almost directly at the phone screen. Lim reads the comments on the forum and thinks, can I, by looking at the forum, kill like that guy on TV? Then we saw the scene where the killer was standing next to the corpses of his victims. The main character began to imagine how he would kill his abuser. We continue to watch the fantasy of the main character, where he is called a murderer. You'll spend your whole life rotting in prison. Then Lim in his fantasy cries and apologizes for what he did. Sorry, it's my fault. No, I can't. The main character was on his knees with his hands outstretched in front of him. How can I take someone's life? It's scary. Why should I make such a decision? The main character began to cry. I just want to live in peace. Someone kill Lidoyan instead of me. We see the window of Lim's room. You are welcome. We are shown from a different angle of the main character. But if I don't do anything, otherwise I'll just die at the hands of dirty Lidoyan. Lim remembers being beaten up by Lidoyan, and my whole life will be in vain. We see Lim clench his fingers into a fist. This is so unfair. We are shown that the main character reached into the bag for something. The main character found something. We see him go back to his room. The main character pondered. According to Majayam, we are shown how the main character punches his pillow with a screwdriver. He must die. Lim's face looks like a maniac's. Not me. With the killer's gaze, the main character decided to kill his abuser. Only Yuli Doyoung. Then we move on to the next day. We see Lim already at school. Lim was now sure what he was talking about. But when he came to school, he lost it. Lim sat with his head down and thought, will everything happen again today? You just need to avoid Lidoyan. At the same time, Lim was slapped on the back of the head by Lidoyan. He greeted his victim. Lashak, get the cake out quickly. It's your next birthday today, Lidoyan told his victim. Lim's eyes betrayed his desperation. Daejin, you're just like always. You should say thank you to us because no one shows interest for your birthday except us, said a group of hooligans standing over their victim. What to do? Lim thought. Now, we need to act? Lim reached for his screwdriver, which was in his left pocket. Soak Lidoyan first and then the others, Lim wondered. There was a look of hopeless horror on his face. Or will it just stop at Lee Doyoung? Lim continued to ponder. Grab it quickly, you trained yesterday. Why are you procrastinating? Quickly get the cake, or do you want to get it? Lidoyan said, leaning over Lim. At this time, the main character was thinking about how to grab his screwdriver that was in his pocket. Grab it quickly, Lee Doyoung. At this time, the bully looked at his victim without understanding what was happening. Lim started to pull his screwdriver out of his pocket. At this time, he was thinking, and stab him. Hey, what are you doing frozen? Lee Doyoung turned to Lim. Looking down on your victim from a high place. Lim looked horrified. Didn't you buy a cake? Lee Doyoung asked while looking at Lim. When I saw Lee Doyoung's face, I remembered an experiment with Pavlov's dog that we passed in the class of natural sciences. An experiment in which feeding took place only to the sound of a bell. We are shown the experiment itself. As a result, the dog spilled saliva just from the sound of it. In my case, this was done after much harassment and beatings. Learned fear. That idiot didn't bring anything, Lee Doyoung said. I just took a look at Lee Doyoung's face, Lim thought. The screwdriver started to fall out of my hand, and everything. It started with the head. Lee Doyoung grabbed Lim by the scruff of the neck. Then his whole body began to contract. And now my plan, which I've been working on all night. Lee Doyoung smiled, disintegrated at one glance. The main character continued to think. Next, we saw Lee Doyoung slap Lim's face. I hate myself for being weak. I'm finished if they see my weapon. Lim thought to himself. He was trying to hide the screwdriver in his bag. Meanwhile, Lee Doyoung was slapping him in the face while his companions watched on. I'm sick of Lee Doyoung, the main character thought to himself. You can't celebrate a birthday like that, Lee Doyoung said. As a friend, I'll throw you an after-school party. Lee Doyoung continued. Cheers for the party. After school, Lee Doyoung's friend said. Lim himself is in a stupor and couldn't even say a single word. Then we see a construction site. 3 gangsters dragged Lim to the construction site, and they called him Lashak. There was food on the construction site. Ramen, Coke bottles, and alcohol. I made you something even better than cake, Lee Doyoung said. To which Lim replied, I've never had a drink before. Lee Doyoung replied that there was nothing wrong with that. I'll teach you how to drink today, Lee Doyoung added, looking at his victim with a scary smile. You will drink alcohol, the bully continued. I know how to drink properly, wait, the bully said while mixing various drinks, so missing the last ingredient. At this, the main character's eyes were filled with despair. Give me your sock, Lee Doyoung commanded. By contacting one of your friends. Then the leader of the hooligans added ramen, chips, mud to the drink. Then he turned to Lim. Lashak, you know that, right? What should I drink first in one gulp? The whole vile cocktail was presented to Lim. Lim turned to the bullies. Doyoung, I can't drink this. After saying that, Lim was slapped in the face by Lee Doyoung. Hey Lim Dajin. On the face of the main character, a trace of a blow appeared. You want to make me angry, Lee Doyoung continued. Looking at your victim. What should I do? If I don't drink, he'll beat me to a pulp, Lim thought to himself. Lim's face expressed all the horror that was in his soul. I really am. I don't want to drink it. The main character thought to himself. Lim was holding this miracle cocktail in his hands. See how delicious it is, Lee Doyoung was told, pointing a finger at the unfortunate Lim who was drinking all that cocktail. You're a tough guy, one of Lee Doyoung's associates said. Lim's eyes showed how much he didn't like drinking this stuff. As a result, he threw up everything he had drunk moments earlier. That idiot snatched it all out. Hey, jackass, the victim was approached by hooligans. Since you ripped it all out, then you need to repeat it again, Lee Doyoung said. Looking down on your victim, you must learn to drink, Lee Doyoung continued. At the same time, Lim's eyes were already filled with tears. We see all the ingredients that were used. There's only one left, Lee Doyoung spoke, holding a bottle of alcohol. Why can't this idiot just drink up? The hooligans reasoned. Go buy some more, Lee Doyoung said after giving money to his accomplice, and buy us something to drink. Wake up, asshole. You haven't drunk enough to throw up yet, Lee Doyoung said to his victim while holding Lim's hair. I feel dizzy and nauseous. Lim thought to himself, I'm sick of it. Just drink it already. Lee Doyoung spoke while holding Lim's head. No, I can't do this anymore. I'm sick inside. One more time, the main character thought to himself. At this time, Lee Doyoung continued to create a new portion of the cocktail, and I will definitely die. The main character thought to himself. More. Lee Doyoung continued to hold Lim's head. I can't take it. Thoughts of the main character. We were shown Lim kicking away a bottle of alcohol, which surprised Lee Doyoung, and with screams, Lim tried to run away. A bottle of booze broke. Lim also tried to run away from his abuser. Lim's actions only made Lee Doyoung sneer, he added. What an idiot. Completely out of my mind. Lim was running away from the building. He kept running, his eyes filled with despair and fear. Why am I running away? Lim thought to himself. Closing his eyes and gritting his teeth, Lim continued to run. At the same time, he was thinking, tomorrow I'll go back to school and get it again. Damn, what a fool I am. At this time, Lee Doyoung's hand had already caught up with its prey. With screams, where are you running off to, asshole? Lee Doyoung caught up with Lim. On the next page, we saw Lee Doyoung push his victim to the ground. Sitting on top of his victim, Lee Doyoung said, Hey, Lashak, why did you make me angry? With your escape. After these words, the bully hit his victim in the face. Lim was thinking, Bullnock, how painful. Would it be better to drink or just die? A school student thought to himself as he received a hail of blows to the face. We see Lee Doyoung standing in his place. Then the abuser grabbed his classmate by the hair and turned to him. Get up, asshole. Looking into the eyes of his victim, he said, It's not over yet. Why do I have to live like this? The main character was thinking to himself, while Lee Doyoung was dragging him by the hair, "I'm being bullied, and I can't answer." The main character thought to himself, letting out tears at this time. I look at Lee Doyoung's face and I get scared. Right up to goosebumps. We are shown Lee Doyoung's disdainful look. I can't help it. I just see the look. We get a close-up of Lim's bloodied face, which is covered in his tears. Next, we see the back of the bully's head and the main character thinks to himself, "A face, a face." Lee Doyoung continues to drag the main character by the hair, and somewhere in the distance, a truck rushes to meet them. In Lim's eyes, we see the light from the truck's headlights. Lim decided to push his assailant under the car. Not. Looking at Lee Doyoung's face, the protagonist thought to himself. We see Lim push his assailant in the back. I can do it. The main character thought to himself. At this time, Lee Doyoung once again insulted his victim. "You idiot," Lee Doyoung said while baring his teeth. "Are you crazy?" the bully continued, not noticing the approaching car behind him. Then we were shown high-rises. Friends of the main school bully returned to the construction site. They discussed how they had handled Lim. "How cool did we get Lashka drunk?" "Yeah, haha, send me the video." Soon, the two noticed an ambulance and a crowd of people gathered. They started a discussion. What's up? It seems to be an accident. Let's go take a look." Coming closer, the students were surprised. "How?" one of them wondered. The ambulance worker said. "A schoolboy was hit." The hooligans looked surprised. Then we saw a couple of passers-by walking down the street. Lim swept through them without paying any attention to them. One of the couple said, "Look, where you're going. What's wrong with him? Did you see that?" The look on his face. Passers-by continued their dialogue. Lim himself was depressed. "It's creepy. Simplicity is gone." The main character thought about it while returning home. "What have I done?" The main character wondered. "I pushed him under the car." The main character thought to himself while his whole body was shaking. "If I hadn't done it, then he would have died." The main character thought, remembering the face of his abuser and the terrible beatings that he endured, and other moments from life, as well as the face of the killer who executed his abusers. Started today, we see Lim's bloodied face. "I will live," the main character thought, and a ray of hope for a bright future could be seen in his eyes. "My desperate hoes survive." This ended chapter 1. Clever bastard. We see how the main character crawled under the blanket. "Why didn't you turn yourself in?" The main character is in thought after his act. There's no way you can hide something like this. Did Lee Doyoung really die? We were shown Lim running away from the crime scene. "I pushed him. In self-defense," the main character thought to himself. "But still, I pushed him under the car. I heard it in his head." We were shown the whole room of the main character. "No, if I hadn't done it, I would have died myself. I had no choice." The main character kept thinking to himself. "Actually, I just wanted revenge," Lim thought as tears welled up in his eyes. We are shown the main character's school in close-up. The next day, which I thought would be my last, I went to school as usual. We see how students go to school having fun communicating with each other. I wanted to know what happened after that incident. Lim couldn't calm down after yesterday. And more. Lim remembered the face of his assailant. We were wondering what the classroom would look like without this bastard. But why hasn't anything happened yet? Lim walked up the steps of his home school. The police are busy because they have other things to do. Lim pondered. Maybe I won't get caught, the main character thought. As if a criminal like me can get away with it. Lim lowered his head and stopped in front of the classroom door. It wasn't easy to stop clinging to hope. Maybe I shouldn't have come. I'm afraid to open the door. The main character was standing in front of the classroom and couldn't open the door. What if? Are the police waiting there to tie me up? The main character imagined how the special forces were preparing to detain him. Class. Having plucked up the courage, the main character was still able to open. Despite my fears, he looked as usual. Noisy chatter before the morning meeting. The classroom really looked pretty ordinary. Sample students were engaged in Nothing has changed. Lim walked over to his usual seat, except for one thing. Lim looked at the spot where Lee Doyoung usually sat. Lee Doyoung's empty desks. Before roll call, I'd like to tell you something. The teacher addressed the children. Doyoung had an accident last night. The teacher continued. He was hit by a truck and is now in a coma. Lim's face went pale. Apparently the injuries are very serious. The teacher continued. Hush, I'm not done yet. Judging by the police investigation. The teacher continued. Unfortunately, it turned out that he was hit by a car while crossing the road in the wrong place. These words shocked Lim. Let's hope that Doyoung gets better. If anyone wants to visit him, he is at the PA hospital. The teacher finished his speech. He said an accident. So, I won't be arrested, the protagonist thought to himself, gritting his teeth. Lim then slapped his face. No, what am I thinking? This is wrong. I know. I must be caught red-handed. The main character decided to leave the class. At this time, his classmates were discussing their lessons. I need to collect my math textbooks. Me too. I'll do it. I'll do it, but I want to live a normal life. Just for a few days. The main character thought. That's all. At this time, a noisy group passed by Lim. Today, I was enjoying my normal life while Lee Doyoung wasn't around. We see a full class of students, a regular class, and a regular break without the holiday bashing or bullying of my family. At first, I couldn't even figure out what to do. Lim pondered while looking at the book. But then, for the first time in a long time, I discovered a novel. We see a short story that Lim was reading. In middle school, I loved reading, but when I moved to high school, it wasn't up to that anymore. Normal school life. What's for lunch today? Curry with rice and mashed potatoes. Lim's classmates were discussing it among themselves, while Lim was reading the novel. It was something special, I thought. I just felt a little happier. We see Lim reading the novel, to the point where I didn't want to waste that time eating lunch. We see Lim crying and his tears fall on the novel. And this normal school life I was deprived of all this time. Tears welled up in the protagonist's eyes. Too late. But that's how I want my life to continue. The main character thought to himself as he wiped away his tears. At this time, a classmate turned to him. Yo, Lim Dajun. You're the one who pushed Doyoung, right? A classmate asked, pointing at the main character. Lim was shocked by the question. That crazy prick, did you really ask him that? Lol. I'm sorry, he was just joking, said the second classmate and led the first away. I saw him leave with Lee Doyoung's party yesterday, the first classmate said. Do you think a loser like that would have the guts to do that? Well, you're right, lol. Two classmates were loudly discussing the situation. Who would have thought that being a loser can be so useful? The main character thought to himself. Maybe it seems to me, but the atmosphere in the classroom has changed a little. The main character thought while sitting at his desk. These guys bullied the homeless every time Lee Doon wasn't around. But it could really be him, couldn't it? Che, you're going to get fucked up, haha. What are you talking about? Two friends discussed the situation among themselves. But for some reason, they didn't even bother me. The children who were bullied like me also felt more comfortable than usual. We were shown two of Lim's classmates who were also victims of bullying. Lim went to the window. Lee Do-yoon's absence made the classroom much quieter. Maybe I did everything right, the main character thought, looking out of the classroom. Yes, it's alright. The fact that I haven't been caught yet. It should mean that this is my once-in-a-lifetime chance to pay for all the suffering I've endured. Lim pondered, looking to the future with hope. Suddenly, he noticed a police car arriving at the school. Wow. The cops? I think we've come to detain someone. They're here for your soul, Tick-lol. Oh, fuck you. Students discussed it among themselves. No. Cannot be. Lim thought to himself. Suddenly, a student entered the classroom and loudly addressed the main character. Lim Dajun. The teacher told you to go to his office. Immediately. The main character's face was filled with fear of being revealed. The main character was thinking to himself, no, this can't be happening. Next, we saw how the handcuffs were closed on the hands of the main character. we see the main character in full growth in handcuffs. From now on, disciple Lim Dajun, a police officer spoke. In the staff room, where the other teachers were gathered, you are under arrest on suspicion of attempted murder. The policeman continued, looking at the main character. You have the right to an attorney, and the right to remain silent. We were shown the main character, who was absolutely confused. Lim thought to himself, "Are you sure about this? Didn't you say it was an accident?" One of the teachers shouted. "Lim Dajun, you didn't do that, did you?" The teacher continued. "We didn't see it at first because of the blind spot behind the truck, but one of the cameras nearby caught Lim Dajun pushing Lee Doyoung into the road." The policeman said, "Lee Dajun, why did you do that?" The teacher asked his student. "For a moment, I was in a wonderful dream," thought the main character. You're a normal kid," the teacher shouted after his student. "I dreamed of going to school like a normal child. But as expected, God exists, and he doesn't give happiness to someone like me." Lim thought as he walked in handcuffs, his face looking like a psychopath's. The subsequent scenario of events took place exactly as it should have. We were shown how Lim was taken to the police station and his parents were called. I didn't think much of it when I saw it on the news or in movies. Lim was literally bursting into tears. But in reality, this burden was much heavier. Society kept reminding me of what I had done. "Give me back my son," Lee Doyoung's mother was shouting, holding Lim's breasts. We were also shown Lee Doyoung's extremely serious condition. Each time, I felt something heavy slam into my heart. The main character thought to himself, "I'll announce the verdict." The defendant pushed Lee Doyoung into the road, causing an accident. The judge in the courtroom said, "And causing serious bodily harm. Lim Dajun committed a serious crime amounting to attempted murder." The judge continued, "But since the accused was a victim of violence and was in a state of alcoholic intoxication at the time of the crime," the judge continued. We were shown how Lim and his family left the courthouse. He is sentenced to 2 years of probation. The judge concluded his sentence. "Because of the booze they forced into me and my suicide notes, I wasn't sent to a colony for imperfect summers," Lim thought while thinking about the verdict. "But I wasn't really happy about it. Is that all? There's still the school's oversight committee. That's how?" Outside the courthouse, Lim's parents were discussing what to do next. "Lim Dajun, you can go to school yourself," a father said to his son. "We see how parents are going to leave by car after sending their son to school. It felt like I'd already lost a lot," Lim thought to himself. Next up, we see the sign of the high school supervision committee. Lim Dajun, who defamed the dignity of the school without further proceedings, excluded from school. We see the main character sitting in front of the commission. The commission's decision came as a shock to the main character. "Can I go now?" Lim asked. "Wow, is Lim Dajun at school? I think he came because of the deduction." Students who were staring at the main character were discussing it among themselves. "Why isn't he in juvie? Even if Lee Doyoung bullied him a little, that's no reason to kill him." Haha, then, that was why he had endured all this time. Discussions of classmates did not stop. We were shown the drooping face of Lim. You've been making fun of me from the very beginning," Lim thought to himself, clenching his fist. It seems right that Lee Doyoung beat him up. "Fucking garbage, it would be better not to rush," sounded from the side of classmates. "You have no right to say that. Spit, I'll never see them again anyway. Now all I have left is my house," the main character pondered. Behind Lim's back, we see classmates who look more like monsters than normal people. Next, we see the main character's house. "Get out of my house," the main character's father said to his son. Lim was shocked by what he heard. His own father throws him out of the house. Lim immediately started crying. Then we see him leave his home. Before leaving the house, he turned to look at his relatives. And then we saw the whole family gathered. The mother covered her face, and the rest of the family didn't seem to show any emotion at all. Lim then left the house. It was raining outside. "Get out. And what are you going to do if I really don't come back?" "Fuck it, I'll leave," the main character spoke. How could things have turned out this way? I didn't ask for much. I just wanted to live a normal life, the main character thought. They show us Lim's sad face. School, family. Now I have absolutely nothing left, Lim thought as he walked down the street in the rainy weather, and suddenly he saw the future troubles before him. But why? Why do you need to make my life even more miserable? The main character thought, looking at Lee Doyun's company that was standing in front of him. He then recalled the moments when Lee Doyun and his friends humiliated him. Yuseung T Biju Wan until the end you too, Lim thought to himself. He was approached by a company that was going to meet him with umbrellas in their hands. Lo Shok Jun, you can't just leave after what you did to Doyoung. Then we again saw the building where earlier hooligans got Lim drunk. We see Lim cover his face from the blows. A whole group of young people beat the main character with umbrellas. The creature is finished, hooligans shouted. My body feels like it's going to fall apart. Lim thought, I can't get out. There are too many of them, Lim thought. At this time, the crowd of hooligans continued to need the main character. If I tried hard enough, I would have been able to deal with Lee Doyoung alone. The main character thought to himself, and at this time they show us an angle from above, as the crowd beats up the main character using umbrellas. But with this crowd, I don't have a chance to do anything, the main character thought, getting a hail of punches from bullies. Lim Dajun, you're fucking fucked up. No matter how fucked up Lee Doyoung was, how could you push him under a car? One of the hooligans asked as he stepped on the main character's head. I'll accept your apologies for our poor Doyoung, the bully continued. We see the bully's sneaker pressing down on top of Lim's head. Why don't you beg me like a dog? The bully asked, looking down on his victim. You know how it works, right? If you don't apologize properly, we'll continue to beat you up. The attacker said. We were shown Lim's battered face. At this time, Lim was thinking to himself, poor Doyoung? So I'm worse than him because I pushed him under the car? Don't be ridiculous. The main character thought to himself as he recalled how Lee Doyoung pushed him. Lee Doyoung threw me off a cliff. Dozens of times. No, hundreds of times. The main character thought as he recalled how Lee Doyoung pushed him off a cliff. Aye, thought the main character. At this time, we were shown the angry face of Lim. What have I done wrong? You're the one who started making fun of me, the main character shouted, while the hoodlum's foot was still on his head. Why are you just throwing shit at me, fucking things? The main character continued to shout. What an asshole, the assailant said as he looked at his victim with disdain. You just want to die, don't you? Said the bully sitting on top of Lim. You still dare to yap, the attacker said. At this time, he delivered a series of punches to Lim's face. I didn't do anything wrong, just fighting for my life, Lim thought as he received a hail of blows to his face. The scum are here. Just you, Lim thought to himself as he picked up a brick. We were shown a surprised bully. On the next page, we see Lim hit the head of a bully who was sitting on it with a brick. The crowd of hooligans were shocked by what happened in front of their eyes. We see Lim swing for another punch. Lim was stabbed in the face, and it can be seen that blood is flowing from the place where the blow was struck. Lim then threw another punch. What the fuck did you do, Lo Shok Jun? Hooligans wondered. That's right, I get it now, Lim thought to himself. Hey, put that down, crazy guy, hooligans shouted, looking at Lim. We see a bloody piece of brick in the hands of the main character. I don't have to feel guilty about such scum, Lim thought to himself. Through the hole in the brick, we can see the angry faces of the hooligans. To get rid of the garbage and not to die, the main character thought to himself. Then we see Lim's angry face. I have to kill, the main character thought to himself. Lo Shok Jun. The hooligans turn to the main character. They show us the construction site outside. Do you think this brick changes anything? The attackers continued. We see the main character's bloodied face. You're not the only one with a gun, asshole, the hooligans said. We see a group of people armed with wooden sticks. You should have been grateful that we only hit with umbrellas. Fucking bastard. one of the attackers said. We see the face of the main character, who understands that it will only get worse from now on. You're going to die today, the hooligan said and started shouting towards Lim. A hail of punches flew from all directions at the main character. We see that the main character has a hard time. I'm not going to take this anymore, the main character said as he struck the hands of one of the attackers. We see that from the hand where the brick hit, blood began to flow. What scum, the bully said and hit Lim from behind. He fell, finish him off. Hooligans shouted as they beat the fallen Lim with sticks. Ha! So what do we do with this complete idiot? Did you really want to beat us up on your own? Come on, look at me like last time, the leader of the hooligans said while holding Lim's head, who was being held by the other two. Lifting his head, the bully saw the expression on Lim's face, who didn't think to give up. He's gone, still staring, the assailant said while looking into the eyes of his victim. Still not calming down, the bully asked the main character, "Why am I such a weakling? If only I was a little stronger, I could have gotten my revenge." "Hey, who are you guys?" a stranger who came to the construction site asked. The gang turned to see who had spoken to them. "And what did you forget in someone else's house?" the stranger asked, holding ramen in her hands. "Can you get out of here so I can eat in peace?" the stranger asked the gang. The entire gang glared at the stranger. "Haha, do you live on a construction site? Where did this bum even hatch from? Let's get out of here while we're still asking nicely," Lim's attackers said. "I'm not kidding. This is really my home," the stranger said while looking at the gang. "And that was my pillow, but now it's covered in blood," the stranger said. "We see a brick that Lim used before, and the gang that holds him. Ale, you don't smoke at all? We told you to get out of here," one of the gang members said as he approached the stranger. "Okay, I still have plenty of houses," the stranger said. "I think I'll go to the playground today," he thought. "What's wrong with this jerk? Lol," one of Lim's attackers said. "Have you seen it? Aha, I immediately got into my pants." Before he could finish his sentence, a pack of noodles flew into the bully's face. On the next page, we saw a packet of noodles hit in the face, and the stranger approached the person at whom he threw the pack. Then there was a jump and a punch to the face. The stranger looked with disdain at the man he had just knocked out. The rest of the gang was surprised by this behavior. "What's wrong with that bastard? Come here, asshole," hooligans shouted as they approached the stranger. Next, we see a stranger's foot dragging on the ground. On the tracking page, we see that the stranger threw mud directly in the assailant's face with his foot. After that, I immediately threw a right cross to the head. One of the gang members was shouting at his back. "Are you out of your mind?" The stranger dodged the blow by diving. We see a stranger dragging the assailant by the clothes. Next, we were shown how a stranger struck a knee to the head. "You fucking coward, let him go," one of the gang members shouted, approaching a stranger. "Okay, catch it," the stranger said as he kicked the bully in the assailant's direction. "That bastard." Before he could say the whole sentence, the bully got poked in the eyes with his fingers. The bullies screamed in pain. One of them said, "What are these idiots doing out there?" "Bastard, underestimating us," the bully said. "Stop it," the stranger said. "Still want to fight?" the stranger asked while holding a bundle in his hands. That's right." The hooligan's imagination started playing in his head, and he imagined that the package contained a knife. "You keep calling me a pussy, although there are more of you and even with weapons," the stranger said. "Then I can use it too, right?" the stranger asked. You'd better drop it," the bully said. "Forget it, you can take it," the stranger said as he threw the bundle into the bully's hands. "It was just chopsticks? I thought I wouldn't lose you." "Without a knife?" the bully said. Next, we see a stranger kicking a bully in the head. This guy, even though he fights weirdly, he's pretty damn strong, Lim thought to himself as he watched his assailants get beaten up. He had taken out Lee Doyoung's entire gang all by himself with ease. We see how the stranger lets the snaps in the head of one of the gang members. "Please stop. For help," shouted the bully, getting on the nose flicks. "It's okay, you won't die. You're just bleeding from the nose," Harim whining. The stranger spoke while releasing his snaps. "Just wait a bit and I'll fix the other side of it too." The stranger was speaking. We see Lim's surprised face. He's completely beaten down, but for some reason, it feels so good. We see the main character smiling. "What suckers Haza are? Look at how quickly they left their friends. Its skin is more expensive, right?" the stranger said. "I don't know why you did it," Lim said. We see the gang friends run away, leaving the rest of them lying on the floor. "But thank you for helping," Lim continued. "Who the hell are you? Get the fuck lost," the stranger said. Lim turned to the stranger, but the conversation didn't go well. "Okay," Lim said. "Oh shit. You shouldn't have thrown ramen at them. Looks like I'm going to be hungry today," the stranger said, feeling a little dejected after his act. We can see Lim pondering something. "Sorry. You can please," Lim said as he reached out to touch the stranger's shoulder. "Make me as strong as you are," Lim made a request to the stranger. "Hands removed gone," the stranger said as he swung at the main character. "Wait," Lim said. "Ramen, I'll buy you some ramen. Just please listen to me," Lim said while covering his face with his hands. We see Lim trying to talk the stranger into talking. "That's all I ask," Lim said. Then we see some kind of cafe. "So your name is Lim Dajin?" the stranger asked. "Bad luck to you." At first, these guys were lowered, and then they also turned around from school, the stranger said while eating ramen. "But you've done well. You've made a good comeback on this Lee Doyoung or whatever it is. Such freaks don't stop until you cheer them up," the stranger said. We see Lim and his savior sitting in a cafe. "This guy, in normal life, he is much more fun," Lim thought to himself. "And you have balls, even though you don't look like you like it," said the stranger. "So you're going to do what I asked you to do?" the main character asked. We see two characters sitting next to each other. "Of course. I won't teach you how to fight," the stranger said, looking down on the main character from high above. "Please, I beg you. I'll buy you some more ramen," the stranger said. "I'm not a bum at all," the stranger thought. "There's another reason why I won't do it. Other than that, it's still a bit of a hassle," the stranger said while looking at Lim. "How do I tell you? You're not meant for fighting," the stranger said. Lim looked surprised. "What?" Lim thought. "You're something like a flower grown in a greenhouse," the stranger said. In the picture, we can see that the main character is inside the greenhouse where there are other flowers. "You've lived too normal a life," the stranger continued. "You'll have to follow me everywhere if you want to learn how to fight like me. But you look like you're going to throw your hooves off in the street for a second or two," the stranger said. We see him looking at Lim with disdain. "Just give up and don't load me up with stuff." The stranger didn't have time to finish his sentence when Lim interrupted him. "I can do it. I'll adapt no matter what it takes. So please," Lim said while looking at his savior. "I'll try to get this across to you in a nice way," the stranger said. We see Lim getting slapped in the face by a stranger. "You're not ready yet. Go home. I'll kick your ass if you follow me," the stranger said. We see the stranger leave, leaving Lim at the entrance to the cafe. "Why does he say I can't do it?" Lim thought to himself. "Do I have to suffer for the rest of my life?" the main character thought to himself, letting out tears. Then we get a close-up view of some part of the city. Lim began tracking his rescuer. The main character from around the corner spied on the actions of the stranger who saved him. "I can't just give up," Lim thought. After that time, I kept getting bounces, but, Lim thought, remembering how the stranger had slapped him in the face. "I will also become strong and be able to make those who bullied me beg for mercy. If you don't want to teach me how to fight," Lim thought as he peeked around the corner. "I will repeat your every move, and I will become as strong as you," Lim thought as he watched the stranger put his hand in the trash can. I continued to follow him. As I said earlier, I repeated everything he did. The stranger picked up a jacket from the trash and thought that it looked good on him. Next, we saw how the main character took dirty clothes from the trash and put them on himself. We see a stranger holding a bowl of food in his hands. On the next page, the stranger looks around while Lim sits in the bushes. Why did he bring only rice to the park? Here's an asshole eating canned cat food instead of a side dish. The main character thought. We see a stranger eating cat food. But if I want to get used to living outside, I should too. The main character thought. We see him peeking out from behind the bushes at his savior. Don't touch cat food just because you have nothing to eat, a man shouted, trying to catch up with Lim. At this time, Lim was running away and said, "Sorry, let's go up the hill." "Good," the children said. We were shown a playground. Lim's savior was lying on the slide asleep. "Let's just go back. I'm scared." Children communicated with each other. "I'm lying." The child was playing with a typewriter. Vroom vroom. The boy continued to play, rolling the typewriter over the head of Lim, who was lying on the playground. Even the way he slept, Lim thought. He lived like a wild animal. Lim thought as he peeked at the savior from around the corner. To think that there really are people who live like this. But would it help me to follow him around and keep repeating myself? Lim wondered. At this time, peeking from the corner for a stranger. Sometimes I wondered if I'd been wrong about watching him. But each time they dissipated as soon as they saw him fight. We see Savior Lim beat up 3 people. "Please, only in this race," one of the beaten ones said. "Didn't you get into a fight yourself?" Lim's savior asked. We see the man who saved Lim holding his victim's face. "Squeeze your jaw tight, you'll lose a couple of your teeth," the savior said, preparing to throw a punch. "Aha! If I become like him, I can get my revenge," Lim thought as he peeked at his savior. The person who saved Lim noticed that Lim was following him. We can see the building. Lim continued to follow his new acquaintance, while the subject of surveillance himself already realized that he was being followed. "Hey," the savior turned to his debtor. Lim hid behind the wall. "How much longer are you going to tail me around?" the person who saved Lim asked. At this time, Lim didn't show himself. "Still trying to learn how to fight by following me around to get revenge?" the savior asked. "Sure," Lim answered. "That's how?" Lim's savior asked. "Okay, I'll teach you." "How to fight?" Lim's savior said, looking at his pursuer. "What?" the main character wondered. All of a sudden, and just like that, the main character thought. We see Lim's surprise. "Only if you can beat that kid up," Lim's newly minted coach said, pointing a finger at the person who was standing nearby. "This is Park Jong-hyun," Lim said, thinking back to the last time he saw him. "Yep, the guy who let you down on the construction site," Coach Lima said. Then we saw the construction site again. "You smashed a brick on his skull, didn't you? It wasn't bad," Coach Lima said. "But not good enough either. What you did back then was," Coach Lima said. We see 2 characters heading somewhere. "Just a hair's play," Coach Lima said, looking at your ward. Hair romp?" Lim asked. "This is not revenge. You were just twitching from being pushed against the wall." Coach Lima said, "They show us Puck. Don't you? Don't you want to get even with those assholes?" Then, Coach Lima said, "We see Lim stop. Switch roles with them." Coach Lima said, "We see Lim's surprised face. Call me as soon as you find this fucking rat," Park said to someone on the phone. Forget what an asshole he was back in high school, Lim thought. When I was the prey up until now, Lim thought. We see the main character climb a building and get ready to bend down on Puck. This time I'll be a predator, Lim thought, and prepared to jump on his prey. We see a flashback in which we are shown a class. Daejin, someone called out to the main character. "For the time I pulled your pants down in front of the girls, when I threw water on you while you were in the bathroom." Puck kept talking. We see Lim's surprised face. "And for all the times I've bullied you, I really do apologize." Puck spoke while looking at Lim. Honestly, it hurt me every time to watch you suffer. Will you accept my apologies? Park asked as he held out his hand to Lim. Why are you sitting there? Jong Hyun is truly apologizing from the bottom of his heart. Hurry up and accept them. Did Doyoung say? Eh? What? Lim asked. We see Lee Doyoung's gang surrounding Lim. Lim Dajin, shake my hand. Puck said. We see Puck's sardonic smile. Fine, Lim said as he extended his hand. We can see that Puck is gripping Lim's hand tightly. Did you like my apology, Daejin? Park asked as he continued to squeeze Lim's hand. Lim fell to his knees. Park Jong-hyun is 17 years old. Height 187 cm, baseball player expelled for violence. Did you feel my sincerity? Lol. We see Puck's malicious sneer. Right hand grip strength 84 kg. Jong Hyun, please let go. Look at how this Chuhang was going, haha. Someone from Lee Doyoung's gang said, it feels so good to ask for forgiveness. I feel like a different person, Puck said. From now on, I'm going to apologize so much to you every time, Lo Shok Jun, Puck said with a sneer. We get a close-up of Lim's face. Don't shake, just do it as planned, Lim thought. And why aren't these idiots here yet? Puck wondered. Park Jong-hyun, you bullied me just because you were a little stronger. We see how the main character looks at his abuser from above. I did it because I wanted to show off my strength, the main character thought. We see Lim's serious look. To show off to others, Lim thought. On the page, we see the main character jumping on top of his abuser. Puck heard a strange sound and looked up. You fucking bastard, Lim shouted. We see him kick Puck in the back. We can see that Lim's attack caused damage to Puck. Coach Lima was surprised to see the jump of his ward. Next, we see Lim land. I did it. It was even easier than I thought, so it's true. Whoever strikes first wins, the main character thought to himself. A wicked smile appeared on his face. Now all that's left is, before Lim could finish thinking, he saw a fist flying at his head. On the next page, we see a right-handed punch to Lim's head. I can't believe it, Puck said. Lim's face started to bleed again. At first, I didn't even understand who it could be, but it turns out to be our expelled Lo Shok Jun. Puck wondered, scratching the back of his head. Haven't you had enough trouble on the construction site? Did you want to fight? Park asked as he launched a series of punches at Lim. The first kick came out pretty well, but that's it. This kid. Coach Lima thought. The newly minted coach's gaze was filled with pity for his student. I should have wasted my time on it, Coach Lima thought. It hurts like hell, much more than last time, Lim thought as he missed the punches to his face. On the next page, we see Puck kick Lim, who flew away in the direction of garbage bags. Now that I think about it, are you completely fucked up? Why me? Did you think I was a light target for not hitting you with my full strength? But you knew? Park spoke as he approached Lim, who was lying on the floor. So I only hit all sorts of drishchi. Otherwise, these toys break too fast. Lol, Puck said. On his face, we see a sneer at Lim. But I'll make an exception for you. Today Puck didn't have time to finish his sentence. We see that Lim is near the garbage bags. From the heart of you, Oharachu, Puck said. At this time, a bag of garbage was thrown in his face. On the next page, we see the package hit him squarely in the face. Coach Lima was surprised by what had just happened. Now, this is my chance while he can't see anything, Lim thought as he headed towards Park. Hey, said Puck. We can see the trash lying on the ground and Puck's leg. What are you doing? Puck asked. He was drenched from head to toe in slop. Damn, did he cover up? But still, the main character thought. We can see his confused face. It's not over yet, Lim thought. We see him fly into Puck's body and try to knock him to the ground. And what's up this time, you bastard? Park said, looking at Lim with disdain. Am I confused? Lim thought. At this time, Puck will prepare to attack Lim. I said, what are you doing? Puck asked. He slapped Lim's face with his palm. Stop twitching already. Die, Park said as he pressed Lim against the wall and prepared to throw a punch with his right hand. Lim tried to hit Park's eye with his fingers. Lim Daejin, don't tell me that you thought Coach Lim as a spectator of the street fight. Did you try to act like I did that time? Coach Lim thought as he recalled his fight with Lee Doyoung's gang. Imitating me is not a bad idea. The coach thought, we see Park's back after Lim launched his attack, but the execution is simply nightmarish. The coach thought, we see that Puck caught Lim's fingers and squeezed them. Do you like dirty tricks, motherfucker? It's pretty dangerous, you know? Puck said. Lashyok Jun, have you come to take revenge for being treated unfairly? But what can you do? Park asked Lim. Meanwhile, Puck continued to break out the protagonist's fingers. When such a fucking loser can't even fight back properly, Puck asked his victim. We can see Puck smiling. Puck's smile faded. Puck said. Are you just going to stare? Puck asked. We see Lim's serious look. I said, don't get mad at me, Puck shouted. Meanwhile, Park was throwing a series of punches to Lim's face. Are you asking me if I feel that I've been treated unfairly? The main character was thinking at this time. Hell yes, I got kicked out of school because of you, and I've been feeling this way ever since my life went downhill. The main character thought. We see Lim receive a series of punches to the face. If I could, I would have killed every one of you, Lim thought. We see Puck swing for another punch to Lim's face. Do you want me to beat up Park Jonghyun? If I could do that, why would I learn to fight? Lim asked his coach. If you think you can't, then don't try. I wash my hands of it, the coach said as he walked away from his student. Wait a minute. Lim shouted at his back. I understood. I'll try, Lim said. Good haha, said the coach. But do you really think I can win? Lim asked while facing his coach. It's going to be a bit heavy because of the weight difference, the coach said. As I thought, it's impossible. Before Lim could finish his thought, the coach interrupted him. You never know, the coach said. In a street fight, it doesn't matter what tactics you use, the coach said while looking at his charge. Didn't you say that he ruined your life? Added a trainer. At this time, Lim recalled how Park bullied him. Then what's there to think about? The coach asked. We see the coach's smile. Use whatever you need, the coach thought. We see Lim's angry, bloodied face. Probably, but that's all. Was that time on the construction site an accident? The coach thought. We see Coach Lim's thoughtful face. I thought he might be able to do something. Savior Lim pondered the situation. We see how he was about to leave his newly minted disciple. Huh? The coach said. His gaze showed surprise. Lashyok Jun you, said Park. He was very surprised. What the hell is this? Puck asked. We see something that looks like a knife wrapped in newspaper hit Puck's side. Do you expect me to believe that such a coward would bring a knife with him? It's not even funny. Puck spoke, looking at the bundle. So throw it, Puck said, taking the bundle by the tip. This feeling, Puck thought. We are shown the shock on Park's face. You're right, this is some kind of nonsense, hee. So grab on tight. You have a strong grip, don't you? The bloodied Lim said. What do you want? Squeeze it just like you did with my hand. Lim started shouting. The main character's face was drenched in his blood, and at the same time, it expressed the anger that Lim was feeling. Lashyok Jun, that crazy guy, Puck thought. Sweat broke out on Park's face, and he was visibly nervous. Really? Thought Puck, holding on to the bundle with his hand. We see how Pak presents the knife. It's true? Puck thought. That bastard, Puck thought. We see him visibly nervous and looking at the bundle. Someone with a knife suddenly appeared in front of me. You don't often have to deal with this in your life, Coach Lima thought. We see the coach's serious look. And usually most people like to face something sharp. The coach thought. We see Puck's eyes, and he feels the danger from the bundle. On the next page, we see Lim kick Park in the stomach, and the trachea fall into a stupor, thought the coach looking at the fight of his ward. Just wait, Puck shouted. He was shocked that Jun had a knife. But how long? Thought Coach Lima. Damn it. We see Puck running away from Lim. Can he pretend it's a knife? Coach Lima continued to ponder the situation. He repeated my trick with the fake knife. But it should have been revealed when this guy grabbed it. Coach Lima continued to ponder. We are shown a flashback in which Coach Lima tricked one of the gang members using chopsticks. We see Puck running away from Lim. Go so far as to bring a knife with you. Was his head completely blown off? Puck said as he ran away from Lim. But you can't tell from Park Jonghyun's reaction. Coach Lima thought. Lim Dajin. He's crazier than I thought. Coach Lima was thinking. Damn, I ran the wrong way, Puck said. We see that he ran into the corner. Lim Dajin, that asshole, thought Park. We see Lim walking behind Park, his gait similar to that of a maniac. Puck is very nervous. Lim's gaze was like a maniac's. In his hand, he held a bundle that contained what looked like a knife. Did he really decide to go all out? Coach Lima was thinking. We see Lim hit Park's head with the handle. On the next page, Lim lands a series of punches on Park, and he got carried away. Coach Lim thought as he watched his student fight a street fight from afar. Shit. Why should I now get a beating from this fucking loser? Puck thought. We see Puck cover his head with his hands. If only I could do something about it. Puck thought. His eyes were fixed on the hand that held what looked like a knife. Next, we see that Lim kicked Park in the ribs. Hey, wait up, you hit the injured spot. Park said as he leaned forward after missing a punch. Capits, how fucking painful. Puck kept talking. I think you broke a rib. I was wrong, let's stop, Puck said. We see an embittered Lim who got a taste for it. Do you want me to stop? Lim asked. Fuck you, Lim answered. Then he kicked again in the same area where he had hit earlier. Because of you, Lim shouted. At this time, the main character dealt a series of blows. Do you know what my school life was like? Lim asked his assailant. We see Lee Doyoung's gang. I was beaten up for nothing, Lim shouted. It's all my fault, I'm sorry, please stop, Puck said. We see Lim land a series of punches on Park. In normal times, I was the one who begged for forgiveness. I was wrong, please forgive me. We are shown a scene where Lim is on his knees begging not to hit him. Do you have any idea? Said Lim. Lim's eyes filled with tears and he stopped throwing punches. How painful was it? Have you ever tried to imagine it? Lim said. We see the main character crawling under the blanket and shaking all over. I wanted to die every day, Lim said. The main character started crying. We see Lim loosen his grip on the knife-like object. Puck saw that his opponent had lost his guard. And he's a smartass. I can't believe he actually won, the coach said as he evaluated his students' actions. But suddenly Coach Lima was surprised. This jerk, at the last minute, I forgot to protect myself, Coach Lima thought. We see Puck pick up Lim's hand with the scroll in it. You think a fucking loser like you can intimidate me with that? You didn't have the guts to stab me in the first place, Park said as he placed the bundle on Lim's head. I'm not done with you yet, Puck shouted. We see Lee Doyoung's gang member grinning. Fucking dead man, Puck shouted. We see him swing the bundle and prepare to strike. Coach Lim was unpleasantly surprised by what was happening. Next, we see Puck hit Lim's body with a bundle. I'm not a coward like you, Puck said. Meanwhile, Puck was sweating profusely from excitement. I can really stab T, said Puck. Lim's face showed that Puck's punch didn't cause him any discomfort. It's just a ruler, Puck thought. We see that inside the convolution was the most common ruler. I was taken in by the fact that they seemed similar, Puck thought. What a load of shit, Puck said. Are you saying I'm a coward? Lim asked Park. Puck was grinning at the ruler. But I wasn't the one who shat my pants over a ruler. Lim continued. We see Lim's face in close-up. Then we saw Puck's angry face. So that's what he was trying to dig up. So he had planned to spend it with it back then. Isn't that a good girl? the coach thought, remembering how his ward was digging through garbage bags. Lim Dajun, as I thought, it's an interesting shot, Coach Lima thought. We can see Coach Lim's face in close-up. Next, we were shown how a fist flew into Lim's face. He strongly dented the main character's face. "You bastard, are you trying to make me look like an idiot?" Puck shouted. We see Park being enraged and throwing a series of punches at Lim. "I'm crazy baseball player Park Jong-hyun," Puck shouted. Meanwhile, Park was punching Lim in the face. "And I'll show you what it really means," Puck shouted. We see Puck's angry face. On the next page, we see Coach Lima pouring some liquid on Puck's head. "Crazy?" Haas said the coach with a smirk. "You?" the coach asked the question, looking at Puck. "Who the fuck are you? Did you want to die?" Park asked Coach Lim while looking back. "The thing," Puck said, "I ran to meet Coach Lim." "You still have a long way to go," Coach Lima said. We see him lift one of his legs off the ground. On the next page, we see Coach Lim kick Puck in the head. Blood spurted from Puck's mouth. "To call yourself that." Coach Lima finished his thought. We see the medical patch fly off Puck's face and his head fly back. We see a smile from Coach Lim. At this time, Lim himself is lying on the ground covered in blood, and watch what is happening. "You know what would have happened to you if I hadn't intervened, right?" Coach Lim asked while standing over his student who was sitting on the ground. "Bad luck to you, Lim Dajun. And you were so close," the coach continued. "You've lost. I can't teach you how to fight," the coach said. At this moment, Lim's face was filled with anger at losing. "I forgot about protection, like an idiot." Just because he started reminiscing, Lim thought. "Nothing has changed. I was so eager to switch," Lim thought. We see Lee Doyoung's gang leave after Lim's latest humiliation. We see Lim start to cry. "Lost again. Those bastards," Lim thought. We see how he hit the ground with all his strength with his fists. Lim smashed his fists into blood. Coach Lim looked at his student with interest. "Are you so eager to become strong?" the coach asked while looking at his student. "Even though you were beaten up like that?" the coach asked the question. Lim's face was covered in his own blood, and he was crying. "Phew. Okay, I'll give you one last chance," the coach said. We see his sly smile that doesn't promise us an easy way out. "But it will be much more difficult. Does it suit you?" the coach said while looking at Lim. Lim listened intently to his mentor, shedding tears. "You haven't said a word in all this time. Where are we going?" "I've never been in the area," Lim said. We see that two characters are heading somewhere. "For you. Those assholes from your school seemed like the worst scum of all, didn't they?" the coach asked his student. Lim was puzzled by the question. "Exactly," Lim answered. "Frankly, the really dangerous guys lurk on the other side," Coach Lima said. "They're the ones that the school can't contain," Mentor Lim said. Lim was surprised by these words. Lim Dajan. Leaving school isn't the end of it. If you really decided to live on the streets, then you will run into people who are many times worse than those you have ever met. Those who have nothing left to lose are the ones to be afraid of," the coach said to his student. We see that the characters are heading towards a certain place. "If you get up, then you can run into extremely dangerous guys," Coach Lima said. We can see that behind him there are extremely suspicious people who give off an aura of danger. "You asked me where we were going, didn't you?" the coach asked his student. Lim's face was still puzzled. "A place where such people gather and live," the coach said, looking off into the distance. "Why are you taking me there?" Lim asked, the main character's face showing surprise. We see a two-story house. On the next page, we see Coach Lima kick his charge inside the house. "Try to survive," the main character's coach said with a smile. "Why, what are you talking about?" Lim asked his coach while lying on the floor in a house unknown to him. "What it means to survive. What exactly are you?" Before Lim could finish his sentence, he saw something in front of him that surprised him. There were 4 people in front of Lim, 3 men and 1 girl. Lim's face was filled with fear of the people he saw in front of him. We see the house that Lim hit, and someone turns to him. "So you say that you have to live here if you want to learn how to fight?" A stranger who was sitting on a chair asked Lim. "Yeah," the main character answered. "And who decided that?" the kid with red hair asked, looking at your new neighbor. "Joe Hangul? I can't believe it. He just threw you in here and dumped you," said one of the locals. We see Lim sitting on his knees in front of the occupants of the house. "Are you a good fighter?" the kid with the red hair asked. "And no," Lim answered. "Yeah, I can tell by the look of you. Maybe you can do something else," the kid sitting on the chair asked. "I don't think so," Lim answered. "Have you ever worked before?" the girl who was standing nearby asked. Lim answered. "What the fuck? This kid, he can't do a damn thing." We were shown the name of the kid with red hair. His name is Cha Da-eb. What was Joe Hangul thinking, bringing in such a clumsy guy? "You're still not going to be thrown out since that asshole brought you here," Cha said. "It's getting late, so let him stay and spend the night," said another kid who was next to Cha. Lim is still kneeling in front of the owners of the house. "Hey, follow me," Cha said and grabbed Lim's shoulder. "Any refunds?" Cha asked Lim. Lim was looking at his new sleeping place. "And no," Lim answered. "Am I supposed to sleep here?" Lim thought. In the laundry room, the main character wondered. We see a new sleeping place for the main character. "Don't rush to thank us. We won't let you live here for free," Cha said. "If you can't do anything, you can at least pay with your body," Cha continued, looking at Lim. "I can't wait for tomorrow," Cha said. We can see the surprise on Lim's face. "The next day, I had to do all the housework," Lim thought. "Cut it out, Lim de June," Cha said. We see Lim cleaning the toilet. "It wasn't easy, but I couldn't complain," Lim thought. We see Lim carrying flowers. "Given that I was provided with shelter and food," Lim thought. We see Lim's new friends all eating together. "Besides, a runaway teenager like me can't change his own situation." Yes, and Lim pondered. We see him eating in the laundry room. "It's much better than going to school," Lim thought. We see Lim in his new sleeping place. We see how the main character returns to the store home. "I spent several days exploring the area," Lim thought. We see him going to his new home. "I realized how hostile they were. Far worse than any meth I've ever been to," Lim thought. We see two characters discussing something and something, as well as a homeless man who sleeps on the street. Are all bandit districts like this? The main character wondered. We see a group of people standing near a motorcycle. "Oh, we met eyes. Please let it pass," Lim thought. The bandit was looking at the main character carefully. Lim lowered his head and walked home. "Really me?" Lim thought. "Yo, stop," the bandit said, looking at the main character. "Some kind of brain-dead magnet," the main character thought. "You were staring at my little girl's legs, weren't you? Answer me, you scum," the bandit said while raising his voice at the main character. We see Lim standing in front of the bandit with his eyes downcast. "I'll slow you down if you fall to your knees and beg for forgiveness," Haha said to the high school bandit who was standing in front of him. "Go easy on him, kid." The I.S. is about to burst into tears, the bandit's girlfriend thought. "This asshole is trying to show off to his girlfriend," Lim thought. Joe Hangul. Did he mean by survival such assaults? The main character thought as he recalled Cho's face and words. You're ignoring me? Maybe a couple of breams will bring you to your senses," the bandit said as he swung at Lim. "Before, I wouldn't have resisted swallowing it." We see Lim drop his bag on the ground. "But now I'm ready for a run-in with such bastards at any time," Lim thought. We see the main character preparing to strike. We are shown the bandit's surprised face. "What are you doing here with my footman?" Cha asked, standing behind Lim. "What is it?" "Now that you've finished your shopping, hurry up and start cleaning out the porch. No need to suffer bullshit with such garbage," Cha said. We see Cha pick up the bag and pass it to Lim. "That bastard," the bandit said as he held onto his nose where the blow landed. Let them go Hyun T. You've heard the rumors about him, the bandit's friend said. Kim Teek is also with him. They're from Joe Hangul's group. Let's go, the bandit's friend said. We see the back of Cho's friends. A link, Hyung shouted. What? The bandit's accomplice asked. You think you can scare me with something like that? Hyung continued to shout. Are you completely out of your mind? The bandit's friend asked. We see Hyung pull out a knife. Where are you going? Hyung said as he walked towards Cha with the knife. We can see that Cha and Lim are paying attention to Hyung. Next, we see Cha catch Hyung's hand. On the next page, we see Cha take a step forward towards Hyung. We see Cha stab Hyung in the head. Hyung fell backwards on the ground very loudly. Hyung's company was shocked by what they saw. That guy, Cha da fuck, Lim thought as he watched Cha knock Hyung out. Who else wants to wave fly in? Cha said while looking at Hyung's group. He's just as strong as Joe Hangul, the main character thought. I went, Hyuna's girlfriend said, running away from the scene of a fight. Not, we're out of business, Hyung's friend said. They're fucking bespectacled. Ha ha, Cha said as he watched Hyung's friends refuse to fight him. Are all of Joe Hangul's friends so strong? Lim asked as he looked at Hyung lying on the ground. We see Hyung and his friends standing on the street while Hyung bangs his head against a phone booth. Cha da fuck, you son of a bitch. Whether they're from Joe Hangul's gang or not, I'll kill them all, Hyung shouted, banging his head against the wall. Cool down, Hyung's friend said. Do you really want to kill Joe Hangul's people? An unknown character asked Hyung. We can see that Hyung's forehead is bleeding from hitting the wall. What if I help you? The unknown said to Hyung. Hyung looked surprised. You're the same, Hyung said while looking at the person who proposed to him. We can see that Hyung recognized the person standing in front of him. A few days later, we see where Lim's new friends live. They all sleep unsuspectingly. Hyung was watching them through the window. He grimaced at his assailants. We see Hyung open the valve on the gas cylinder, and he brought a hose to the door in order to fill the room with people with gas, and they died in their sleep. But at this time, Lim sensed something was amiss. He decided to wake up and go to the bathroom. Tubzik, Lim said. The main character smelled gas. He immediately covered his nose with his hand. What's that stink? Lim thought. It looks like gas, Lim thought. We can see that Cho and Kim are already drooling over the gas. We need to air it out faster, Lim thought and headed for the door. He opened the door and slammed the door into the face of Hyung, who was standing right next to the door. What the fuck? Hyung said. We can see that his nose is bleeding from being hit by the door. You're that guy, Lim said while looking at Hyung, who was trying to kill his friends. Hey, to stand, Lim shouted at Hyung's back as he ran away. Could it be? Thought Lim. Targeting the guys? Lim continued the thought while looking at his sleeping friends. We can see Lim pondering his next move. Next, we see the street where Lim had previously come to his new abode. They show us Lim running. We are shown a flashback in which Lim met Cha. Along with this, we see Lim running after Hyung. You're right. I can't do anything yet, Lim thought. What the? Said Cha. We see him frothing at the mouth. What's happening? Cha asked. We see that Lim has taken all of his friends out into the fresh air. Why is this asshole okay? Weren't they supposed to sleep in the same room? Hyung wondered. We see him breathing heavily after he ran away from the crime scene. I'm fine because I'm sleeping in a different room, Lim said as he caught up with Hyung. We see Hyung's angry face. What I really want is, the main character thought as he caught up with Hyung. We see that the main character was able to catch up with the one who tried to kill his friends. Beating the shit out of a fucking duck like you, Lim thought. Where are you going? Lim asked Hyung. We see the main character's face glowing with happiness as he finally managed to catch up with Hyung. A few days before the gas incident, we see Cha and Lim standing on the roof of the house. Hey, Cha said. Didn't I tell you to fuck off? Why are you messing with me? Cha said while looking at Lim while holding a cigarette. Teach me how to fight with yours? Cha continued. Meanwhile, Lim looked at Cha hopefully, hoping that he would teach him how to fight. You took out that scumbag in one fell swoop. That's what I want too, Lim said. We see a flashback of the first meeting with Hyung. What's this loser talking about? Cha thought about it. We see Cha's displeased face. Meanwhile, Lim is ready to start training. Joe Hangul, you little goat, hurry up and get him out of here, Cha thought. He clearly has no talent for. Cha thought. Suddenly, a jump rope fell at his feet. Cha turned his attention to the skipping rope. Nah, said Cha, throwing a jump rope into the water. Is it a jump rope? Lim asked. A guy like you could use it to shake his ass, Cha said. And how many times? Lim asked. I don't know, stupid. You tell me, Cha said. And how many times can you do it? Lim asked. We see Cha stubbing out a cigarette in an ashtray. Me? Cha asked. I can easily do it 100,000 times in one set, haha, Cha said, pointing at himself. 100,000? Lim thought. At the time when I was doing a lot of work, it was normal for me, Cha said. Lim swallowed hard. We see the building that Lim now lives in. Where the fuck is this guy skulking around all day? I haven't seen him since last night. I didn't even wash the dishes, Cha said while yawning. Stop. He didn't take those 100,000 times seriously, did he? It was just a chatter, Cha thought. We can see Cha thinking about what Lim said yesterday. He's not that stupid, and he certainly wouldn't be, Cha thought. Eh? Said Cha. We see Cha's surprised face. We see the main character jumping rope until the 7th sweat. What the hell? Cha thought. Has he been hopping around here all night? Cha pondered. Did you really suffer from this useless bullshit? Cha asked. I still have 47,000 times left, the exhausted Lim said. We see the main character sweating profusely. I will become as strong as you, Lim said. Cha was shocked by this response. Seriously, Cha thought. Bludgeon, do you really think that jumping 100,000 times on a rope will make you stronger? Drop it and go wash the dishes, Cha said as he left the rooftop. How badly does this loser want to learn how to fight? Cha thought. We see how the main character swings in order to strike. On the next page, we see that the block that Hyung placed was hit. That bitch, Hyung said. Infuriating, Hyung said as he slapped Lim's face with his right hand. On the next page, we see that Lim missed another hit from Hyung. That dumb-ass sucker. Even though I gave him a hard time, Hyung thought. We see him running away from the main character. You won't leave, Lim shouted as he tried to catch up with Hyung. He still won't give up, Hyung thought. Fuck off, you leech, Hyung shouted as he swung to strike at the main character. On the next page, we see that Lim missed another punch to the face. Stop following me, Hyung said. I don't have time to deal with you here yet, Hyung said as he ran away from Lim. Since I couldn't take care of Joe Hangul's group, Hyung thought. I need to get out of the neighborhood before that bastard gets me, Hyung thought as he ran away. I'm already in the crosshairs of Chun's gang, Hyung said. We see Hyung suddenly start to fall. On the next page, we see the main character grabbing Hyung's leg. We see Hyung tumbling down the stairs. Hyung fell to the ground and scraped his knees. Lim walked over to him and grabbed his sweater. I told you, Lim said. You won't leave, Lim continued, preparing to continue the fight. And what did you say about Chun's gang, which, before Lim could finish his sentence, a blade flashed past his face. On the main character's cheek, blood came out from a cut. You shouldn't have torn your ass out like that, Hyung said as he pointed the knife at Lim. Damn, the main character thought. We can see the fear in his eyes. So that's what it feels like when a knife is pointed at you, the main character thought as he recalled his fight with Puck. You think I ran away because I was scared of you, bitch? You'd better let me go, Hyung said. We see that two characters are facing each other. You'll regret chasing me, Hyung said. At this time, he was swinging his blade. Lim took a stance and the knife hit his right arm. Next, we see that the knife hit the left leg. Lim dodged the next stab. Lim flew backwards and landed on the trash bags. I have to do something, Lim thought, and at this time, Hyung was about to strike another blow at Lim. Lim grabbed the stand and held it out in front of him. On the next page, we can see how the delivery was split into two parts. Dumbass, Hyung said. There was a smile on his face. He felt in control of the situation. We see that Hyung is about to strike the main character's body. I can't avoid that, Lim thought. We see blood splatters. Ugh, head, still spinning around, said the girl who lives in the same house as the main character. We can see Lim's friends slowly coming to their senses. Did you think? Was it really those bastards? Kim said. He was holding a gas cylinder. But who saved us? Don't give up, Dajun. Did he try that? The blue-haired kid asked. Where did he go? Kim asked. Lim Dajun ran after the guy who had gassed us, Cha said. Seriously, looks like some dangerous guys are involved. What was he thinking? Kim said. We see that the entire Cho group is moving away from the consequences of gas poisoning. And it is clear to the fool that he will only die in vain like... Kim didn't have time to finish his sentence. This is not going to happen, Cha said, looking at your friends. Cha da fuck, wake up, Lim said as he slapped Cha's face. What? Cha asked. You guys owe me money now. I thought I'd sit back while I dragged you out, Lim said as he held onto Cha's shoulders, who hadn't fully woken up yet. Chi debtors? I want to eat, said Cha, who still hasn't fully woken up from his slumber. I don't think he's fully recovered yet, Lim said, holding Cha's shoulders. I saved you, so you'll have to teach me how to fight, and let's split up the chores around the house. I'll find a part-time job too, Lim said while looking at Cha, and share the pork tenderloin with me, Lim thought. Fuck you, Cha said. Did he get anything at all? Lim asked. We can see that Cha still can't wake up. Okay, if I catch the guy who did this, then will you recognize me? Lim asked the still sleepy Cha. What? Cha asked. I will definitely bring him here, so promise me that you will do as I ask, Lim said while looking at his friend. This is a promise, Lim said as he held Cha's little finger. No need, Cha said. All right, you promised, Lim said as he followed Hyung. What an asshole, Cha said. That brat Lim Dajun won't give up without a fight, Cha thought. Surprisingly, it was as if he had gone mad. Cha continued the thought. We can see that Lim's cheek is bleeding. Next, we are shown the blade on which the main character's blood flows. That bastard. Grabbed it with your bare hands? Hyung thought. We can see Lim holding the knife blade with his left hand. You said you'd kill me, but that's all, Lim said. We see a crazy smile on the main character's face. Then it's my turn, Lim said. We see that he is on his feet. On the next page, we see Lim pinning Hyung to the fence. What's wrong with this nut? He looks like a good-for-nothing blockhead, but, Hyung thought, we see Hyung's confused face as he doesn't know what to do next. He has the look of a madman, Hyung thought. We can see Lim yelling during his actions. Lim grabbed the sleeve of Hyung's left hand. He pushed Hyung against the fence with his feet. This asshole wants to move me, Hyung thought as he remembered Cha throwing him to the ground last time. Do you think this will work? Hyung said. We see Lim press down on Hyung and he leans back. Did you really expect this useless trick to work with me? Hyung asked. We see a smile on the bandit's face. Stop running around and die already, Hyung said. We see Lim holding the knife blade tightly. Ha ha ha, Lim started laughing. What's so funny? Hyung asked. The bandit looked surprised. But Lim continued. I wasn't going to leave you, Lim said. The main character has a crazy smile on his face. What? Hyung asked. Sweat broke out on his face. We see the main character's foot leave the ground. On the next page, we see Lim and Hyung flying down. pancake, Hyung said. There was fear on his face. At the same time, the main character's face looked like that of a maniac. We see them hitting different parts of their bodies on the slope. They continue to fly down. A knife flew out of Hyung's hand. Both characters hit their heads on the slope. Finally, we see them both fall to the ground. Lim said, we can see that he rolled over on his stomach. Despite falling, Lim was able to get up. At the same time, Hyung hit his head on the concrete railing. Lim picked up a rock and was about to strike at Hyung. We see the angry face of Lim, who has already raised his hand to strike. But suddenly, on the face of the main character, anger was replaced by surprise. We see the main character standing over Hyung. Hyung's head is bleeding. Lim dropped to his knees and placed the rock on the ground. I won, Lim shouted, raising his hands in the air. I won for the first time. Against a bandit he could only beat up in his dreams. Maybe I have a talent for it, Lim thought. Tears welled up on the protagonist's face. And from now on, I'm going to kill all the assholes in my path, Lim thought. We can see the joy of victory on the main character's face. Suddenly, he felt a little unwell. He looked down at his hand, which was covered in blood. We see that the knife bit into Lim's body. Well, of course, Lim said while losing consciousness. It had to happen, Lim said and fell to the ground. I thought that at least once I would have a proper revenge, but it was all in vain, thought the main character losing consciousness. We see Lim start to wake up. Did you wake up? Cha asked, standing by the hospital bed. Fortunately, thanks to the help of the guys who found me unconscious, I was able to recover safely. Narrated by the main character. We see that his friends have surrounded his hospital bed. The doctor said the stab wound was shallow, and I blacked out after the fall. Lim thought, don't be a whiner. They said you were fine. We see Cha hit Lim on the shoulder. When they found me, the gas maniac was gone. How did this asshole escape? Lim pondered. We see how Lim's friends found him unconscious. And even though I didn't catch the culprit, the guys agreed to our agreement. Lim thought, you've lost and don't fool around that it's not true. But don't we owe you at least for saving us? Cha said. To think that you would just jump off with him. This is a match for the guy that Hangul brought in, Kim said. We see Kim put his hand on Lim's shoulder. We see the main character's surprised face. Yo, Lim Dejin, so you survived? Cho asked. We see that Coach Lim came to visit him in the hospital. Isn't it time to start learning how to fight seriously? You'd better tell me right away if you want to get off, Cho said. As soon as I'm discharged, let's get right down to business, Lim said while sitting on the hospital bed. After I was released from the hospital, as a thank you, the guys fulfilled one of my most cherished wishes, which came right after training and fights. Lim was telling me, we see a house that has become a new haven for the main character. Lim Dajin, is that really all you want? Kim asked. We see a pork tenderloin. Could you ask for something better than a pork tenderloin? Kim said. We see friends preparing food for Lim. Looks like you really do have it. I really like it. Kim continued. We see Lim happily eating the food that his friends have prepared. If anyone saw you now, they'd think we were starving you to death, Cha said. We see the whole new company of the main character. Cha's words brought Lim to tears. Cha da fuck, what an asshole you are, the girl said. Chi, what's it got to do with me? Cha asked. You're the one who told me to only give him tuna. So you all agreed, Cha answered. We see a dialogue between two friends. We're all fugitives like you, and we're not in a place where we can be nice to someone we've just met, Kim said. Forgive us, said another kid who was there. We see that Lim's eyes are filled with tears. I understand. I just never expected that living on the streets would be so difficult, Lim said. We see the tears of the main character. I wanted to live a normal life, but why did this have to happen to me? Lim said at this time, all of Lim's friends were listening intently. Do you think it was hard for you alone? We had it too, Lim's friends said. We see the main character's surprised face. There isn't a single person here who didn't have their own circumstances, Cha said. We can see the entire company. Some didn't even have a family to throw out of. Cha continued, we can see that we are talking about Kim. We know very well how hard it is to live on the streets. Cha continued, you too, if you don't have a place to go back to. And if you're going to continue living on the streets, you can just stay here. Cha continued. The main character was surprised by such a proposal. We won't force you to do everything the way it was before, so don't worry, Cha said. And even though you'll have to live like a tramp, Cha continued, holding the back of his head with his hand. It's pretty nice to live free with these assholes, Cha said. We can see the shoes of the entire dig thrown off. The entire company smiled at that. And the main character also smiled. I don't remember the last time I smiled, Lim told me. But it feels like I haven't smiled like this in ages. A group of friends were discussing Cha's speech. After the gas incident, my life changed a lot. We see the house where Lim lives. First, I didn't sleep in the laundry room anymore. We can see the bruises under Lim's eyes. Now Lim sleeps with everyone on the same room. Although I don't even know if this is a good thing, Lim was telling me. Also, to make it easier for us to establish a relationship, from that moment on I began to communicate more naturally. Have you seen Kim Teek? The girl asked Lim. No, I haven't, Lim replied while staring at the girl. But there wasn't much difference in age between us. It was the hardest thing to get used to, Lim was telling me. We see a drawing showing all the characters who lived in the house with Lim and their age. Chores that I hoped would be shared equally among everyone. They were distributed in different ways, Lim was telling me. We see flashbacks where the main character remembers how he did all the homework himself. But others had their own part-time jobs, from which everyone could contribute a penny to the overall contribution. We see that Cha works at an auto repair shop, Hong works as a pool hall receptionist, Kim works as a barista, Ha works as a tattoo artist. Everyone except me and this guy, Lim was telling me. We see Cho lying on the floor. Oh, I was supposed to teach you how to fight, right? Cho asked while lying on the floor. Is it normal that only we don't have a job? Maybe we should do something around the house, asked Lim. Forget it, everything is normal. I'm in charge here, Cho said. Is everything really okay? Lim asked. Trust me, Cho replied with a smile on his face. On the next page, we see Cha kick Lim. I went to work, Cha said. If you want to live with us on equal terms, then work as we do. Joe Hangul, that asshole doesn't bring a dime into the house, and says it's all right. Lim looked surprised. You can also learn to fight after work, Cha continued. Udachki, Cho said. So I got a job at a pizza place nearby in our neighborhood. It's been 2 days since I started working. Narrated by the main character. We see the pizzeria building where Lim works. But I already want to leave, Lim was telling me. We see Lim's boss yelling at him, and the main character himself is standing with a mop in his hands. Hey, do you have any soju here? Kid, are you deaf? The visitor asked. What's wrong with the locals in this pizzeria? Lim thought. We see how the client turned to the main character. Young rascal, your brain isn't working at all? He comes to work out everything on the weekend. The pizza shop owner said, You didn't explain anything to me, except that I have to work on weekdays, Lim thought. It's much kinder at home. I need to find a part-time job somewhere else, Lim thought. I need to go to the bathroom. Lim said, Hey, leave your phone here before you go, Chief Lim said. We see Lim's tired face. Dad, said the girl who entered the pizzeria. Nayan asked, Nayan, did you come? We've got a lot to do here, so help out with Navik. The pizza shop owner said. She, so beautiful, Lim thought, blushing with embarrassment. So what if it's beautiful? It doesn't make it any easier to work. Lim thought as he recalled his conversations with Hong, who was extremely rude to him. And I still don't like the girl at all, Lim thought. Suddenly, Nayan approached Lim. We can see the faces of 2 characters in profile. How cute, Nayan said while looking at Lim. Lim's face turned red. Okay, I'll try a little more, Lim thought. I didn't know then how meeting this girl would turn my life around. Lim was telling me. We see Lim and Naeun standing face to face. We see that evening has come. I really don't know anything. I beg. A person spoke, and we see something that someone is stepping on his head. Please don't kill me. The victim continued. Go and tell that bastard what if he doesn't come crawling back to me with whoever gassed us. Cho said. It was he who dealt with the crowd of people who were lying beaten on the ground. Then I'll personally find him and finish him off. Joe said. We can see the serious expression on Joe Hangel's face. We again see the pizzeria where the main character works. Naeun shows a pizza-making master class, and Lim is thrilled with the scene. So beautiful, Lim thought as he looked at the pizza shop owner's daughter. We see that the main character cannot open a jar of cucumbers. Naeun helped Lim open a jar of cucumbers. So cool, Lim thought. No way, my salary, Lim shouted in tears as he stood over the broken dishes. Hurt yourself? Don't worry. I won't tell my father about this, Naeun said. Cleaning up broken dishes. Is she an angel? Lim wondered. Thank you very much, Kim Teek, for giving me the opportunity to work here. Lim thought as he recalled how Kim brought him to the pizza place. Maybe it's a dream job? As long as there are no rude visitors here, you can't think of a better job than this. We see Not, who is smiling. What? Shouted dissatisfied customer pizzeria sitting on a chair. What do you care where I smoke? The client continued. I'm sorry, but other visitors. Naeun didn't have time to finish. Scum, I don't care. We see a glass of Coke flying over someone. On the next page, we see that the glass flew into Naeun. She was doused from head to toe. What a freak, Lim said. The main character was about to engage in a battle with the abuser Naeun. We see the pizza shop owner grab Lim's arm. Stand still. The pizza shop owner said. But boss, Naeun her, said Lim. We see the main character's surprised face. Naeun is fine, the boss said. Sorry to bother you, Naeun said. We can see Naeun's smile still on her face. God, I'm sorry. She's still young and has so much to learn. We'll replace your drink, Naeun's father said. Zaddlebayit, I don't need anything, a disgruntled customer said. We see the pizza shop owner apologizing to the customer, and his daughter tilted her head forward. Even the boss. What the... said Lim. He was surprised by the current events. The boss, Lim said. We see a pizzeria where the main character works. Why didn't you say anything? That's how he treated Naeun, isn't it? Lim said while expressing bewilderment. I'm fine, Daejun, Naeun said. Obviously, it was his fault. Lim said. Lim Daejun, the boss said. What do you suggest we do? Naeun's father asked while sitting on a chair. Do you want to ruin our business? Continued the owner of the pizzeria. Calm down, Dad. Daejun, did you happen to come from a different neighborhood? Naeun asked. Aha, Lim answered. We see Lim looking at Naeun. There are dangerous groups operating in this area, and it is difficult for an ordinary person to understand who they are. Therefore, we need to be careful when such visitors come, said Naeun. We see people who are members of various street gangs. Naturally, I don't want to see my daughter suffer, Naeun's father said with his head down. But I've already seen enough of other places disappearing, having fallen out of favor with such people, Naeun's father said. We see that other establishments have burned down or suffered other significant damage from street gangs. It's my fault that I'm broke and uneducated. At this time, we have no choice but to accept and bend under them, Naeun's father said. We can see the owner of the pizzeria looking sad. Thank you for worrying about me, Daejun. But I'm really fine, Naeun said. We see the girl smiling at the main character. Thanks to this restaurant, I can go to school and my dad has a job. That's great, isn't it? Naeun said. Naeun acts a lot more mature than I do, even though we're the same age, Lim thought. The main character lowered his head as he considered everything that he had just been told. Dad, don't cry, let's get ready for the night shift, Naeun said. Life here is much harder than I thought. Lim thought. We see a daughter comforting her father. After a while, I got used to my work, and my first lesson began. We see Lim and Cho standing on the roof of the house. First, let's deal with your fear of hitting someone, Cho said while looking at his charge while scratching the back of his head. Although it seems that you cannot worry about this, Cho continued, we see a serious-minded main character. Don't make a big deal out of yourself just because of one win. Or are you always going to throw yourself into a cliff during a fight? You're too green to beat those thugs in a normal fight, Cho said. Then what should I do? Don't worry about it, Cho said. We see Cho hit Lim in the face with the book. Because I'm going to fix you up, Coach Lima said. We see Cho's evil smile. Oh right, did any of your family try to find you? Cho asked his ward. We can see that this question was unpleasant for Lim. The main character lowered his head down. Even if they do, I have no reason to leave, the main character said, looking menacingly at his coach. We see a satisfied smile on Cho's face. For the next few days, Joe Hangul downloaded me like he was trying to kill me. Running, skipping rope. We see Lim doing various exercises to understand his physical fitness. Push-ups, squats, abs. We see Lim doing exercises that will help him build muscle. And even strange footwork. We see Lim jumping up and down. Should these workouts really help? In all that time, I didn't land a single blow, Lim thought. We see that during training, Lima Cho reads manga and laughs. Hetch, I have nothing against this footwork and stuff, but don't you have a better way to always win? Lim asked his coach, who was lying in front of him. I've already shown you, haven't I? Cho asked. There was a look of displeasure on his face that Lim was distracting him from reading the manga. Use the environment, said what? We see Lim's surprised face. Stop the enemy's movement, block your vision, and find the right weapon. That's all, Cho said. We see flashbacks of Cho throwing away Lee Doyoung's gang. But it's almost too easy to develop haha, so do what I tell you to do diligently, Cho said. It was fun watching your lame attempts against Park Jonghyun, Cho thought. We see Cho giving advice to Lim with a smirk. You'd better teach me how to use my fists, Lim said. What's up, kid? What can such a person do? Cho didn't have time to finish his sentence. We see Lim holding the phone in his hands and turning the screen towards Cho to show him something. I want it too, Lim said, showing videos of MMA fighters fighting. That asshole hair is just thinking about being cool, Cho said, looking reproachfully at his charge. We see the main character take a step back. Cho tried to use the manga to hit Lim on the head, but Lim took a step back and dodged the attack. Cho didn't understand how Lim managed to do this. On the next page, we see a series of punches from Cho, and all the punches missed the target. Lim managed to dodge all the punches. PFFT. Okay, I'll teach you how to use your fists, the main character's coach said with a smirk on his face. Using your example, Cho said. A wicked smile appeared on Cho's face, and he began to flex his fists. Wait a minute, Lim said. His entire face betrayed his fear. A few days later, we see an abandoned building. We see the baseball bat flying. On the next page, we see that the bat hit the head of a man who was wearing a helmet. Kai Woon Jo Hangul is wandering around beating up our guys. What do we need? The bandits asked. Kai answered. We see Kai standing over the man and holding a bat pointed at the man who is lying on the ground. Seriously? So? Kai continued. We can see that he has put the bat behind his back. What do you want me to do? We see Jun Kai Woong in full growth and are shown his full name. Shouldn't we report to the seniors? A gang member asked. To be punished for this mess I made without their knowledge? Chun asked. That's not what I meant. A gang member answered. It's all your fault, Chun said. We see how the helmet flew off the person. Idiot. We see Hyan lying on the floor with his helmet on and Chun hitting him. I told you I couldn't do it, Hyan said, trying to justify himself for not being able to kill Jo Hangul's family. Awesome job you did, so you thought you could screw up and then leave? With my fucking money. Chun asked Woo Hyan as Chun hit Hyan's body with the bat. Enough, I'll pay you back, Hyung shouted as he received punches from Chun. Just please let go, yelled Hyung. Hey, stop wasting your breath, Chun said. When have I ever given someone a break with a job they have to do? Chun asked. We see him trying to shove the bat into Hyung's mouth. But I think I should step in myself, right? I don't want to get caught by the Hyungs, Chun said. If you do this, things will be much easier, said the bandit. But don't count on much, Chun said. We see a dialogue between gang members. Half an hour. Scour the area and bring Hangul's gang here in the meantime. Chun gave the command. His charges were in shock. The gang member didn't finish his speech. We can see his confused face. Are you still here? Chun asked. There was a sinister smile on his face. After that, we see 3 gang members run to find Hangul's family. We see Cho's house. Oh shit, no one home? The bandit wondered as he knocked on the door of Cho's house. Hey, we're screwed anyway. Wouldn't it be better to go up against Jun Kai-woong together? One of the gang members asked. Dumbass, don't you realize that Jun Kai-woong is much worse than Jo Hangul? The second gang member answered. We see the bandits standing outside Cho's house. Then what should we do? A gang member asked. I think I know where they might have gone. I'll call someone in the area. The bandit replied. What is this place? The blonde-haired bandit asked. This, the accomplice said. We see one of the gang members making a phone call. Pizzeria. The bandit who called on the phone continued. It's already been so long since I started working. Can't they start paying me once a week? Lim wondered as he approached his workstation. Lim noticed that the pizza shop's window was broken. Looking inside, he was very surprised. We see how one of the gang members beat up the owner of a pizzeria. We also see Naeun sitting on the floor. I heard that you're friends with Kim Teek, but you don't know where he is? Goon asked. Who is this guy? Naeun's father asked. We see the big guy holding the pizza shop owner by the scruff of the neck. Man, are you sure this is the right place? The big guy asked someone on the phone. Yes, I'm sure. We told the bully on the phone. Where are you hatching, kid? Get out of here, Thug said while looking at Lim. That bastard. The main character thought. Lim's face was filled with rage at what he saw. Naeun, I'll help you. We see Naeun on the floor. Get out of here. We're fine, Naeun said. What? Lim wondered. Naeun is different from me. There's nothing she can't handle. She is kind and helpful. Unlike me, she is well aware of the consequences of her actions. She'd put up with it for so long. She behaved like an adult. We see a lot of flashbacks where we are shown Naeun's behavior in different situations. To protect the restaurant, Lim thought. He said it needed a place. Tell me where Kim Teek works. The big guy was talking. I'm sorry, but we don't really know, Naeun answered. The big guy was waving his arms. For the welfare of your father, Naeun worked so hard to protect it. How can I put them in harm's way? Lim thought. We see how the main character clenched his fist with all his might. Everyone lives in their own way. I want to be an adult like Naeun, Lim thought as he closed his eyes. But, thought Lim, we see the main character throw a bottle at the big guy's head. Next, we see that the main character went to the pizzeria. Who are you? Amble asked. We see Naeun's surprised face. Now is not the time, Lim thought. I'm a regular customer, Lim shouted with rage on his face. Kim Hyung is 17 years old. Height 181 cm, weight 110 kg. We see Kim in full growth. Surprisingly, despite the fact that his huge body was made up of nothing but muscles, he never exercised. The narrator speaks. Kim Taeyong used his natural features exclusively for violence, and unlike Lim Dajun, he was expelled for a different reason. We see battered schoolchildren lying on the floor. No one was able to do anything to Kim Taeyong. We see Kim Yeon. In any case, within the walls of schools. The narrator continues. We see Chun holding a bat in his hand. You're a tough guy, Chun said. We see Kim beaten up. Outside of school, only Chun Kai-woon was his natural enemy. The narrator continued. Kim Taeyong, who always thought so, was confused right now. The narrator continued. We see Kim's surprised face. The reason was that for all 17 years of his life, he first saw such a strange picture. Before him stood a frail loser who had dared to fight back, the narrator said. We see Lim, who took a fighting stance and prepared for battle. To him, Lim Dajun was like a fearlessly barking puppy. We see a puppy barking at big guy Kim. You come on, you'll throw your hooves away if you fight me, sang Kim, spitting on the floor of the pizzeria. Don't spit on the restaurant floor, Lim said. The pig is finished, added Lim. We see a smirk on Lim's face. This fool doesn't seem to understand me, Kim said, his face showing surprise at the protagonist's behavior. I'm going to have to scrape you off the floor bit by bit, Kim said and attacked Lim. Come on, just do as you were taught, Lim thought. We see the main character's serious face. The first in a street fight. Use the environment too, the main character thought. We see Lim kick the chair in the direction of Kim's movement. Block their movement, Lim continued his thought. We see the chair hit Kim's leg. Next. What Hangul taught me, Lim considered his next move. We see how the main character is going to strike. We see the roof of the house where the main character lives. What are you doing, Dajun? Cho asked. We can see the movement of Coach Lim's legs. On the next page, we see a fist that stopped near the main character's face. Aren't you going to run away again? Cho said. We see Cho throw punches and go around Lim from different directions. I can't move, Lim thought. Don't pull your hand away too much when you swing for a punch. Look carefully. Knee, hip, shoulder, Cho said. We see Cho's movements. It's a jab. The left fist is used to control the opponent, Cho said. At this time, Cho threw punches that stopped close to Lim's face. But the real punch behind the jab is a punch that goes from the legs to the fist. Coach Lima said. We see a reversal of Cho's leg. Direct, Cho said. We see the right straight punch stop close to Lim's face. Inside, everything froze. Is this boxing? Lim wondered. In Lim's pupil, we see a fist that stopped in front of the main character's face. Phew. You won't be able to do this kind of thing, but I'll keep an eye on your form, so keep practicing, Cho said while looking at his disciple. Did I get hit? Cho asked. We see Lim lying on the floor. The punch that's been hammered into me all these days, Lim thought. We see Lim's serious look. Jab, Lim thought. We see the main character deliver a left straight punch to Kim's head. What the hell, Kim said. We see how he missed the left straight from the main character. Transfer the power from your legs, thought Lim. We see Lim turn his right leg, putting all his kinetic energy into the kick. In the fist, direct, Lim finished the thought. We see the newly minted boxer deliver a straight right punch to the big guy's head. We see Kim's head flying backwards. Daejin, Naeun thought. She was shocked by what she saw. We see Naeun's father get to his feet. He was always a friend I wanted to help. But he doesn't look like himself, Naeun thought. We see flashbacks where Naeun helped Lim in every possible way at work. I hit him perfectly, Lim thought after the series of punches he landed on Kim. What did you teach him, Goatskin? Go find a part-time job if you have time to do it, Cha said while talking to Cho on the phone. We see Cha's workplace. Yes, I don't enjoy working, Cho answered. But why is he so eager to learn how to fight? Cha asked. To get even with the freaks who bullied him, Cha answered. Even the reason is like a typical loser's, Cha said. We see friends discussing the game over the phone. Even so, it's surprisingly fast to learn. He can fight right now, Cho said. And who will he be able to beat by learning only this? Cha asked as he continued talking on the phone. In a rookie fight, brute force is always the answer, Cho said. We see Lim's surprised face, especially against muscle heads. Cho continued. Don't give a fuck. I was already surprised you're doing something, Kim asked while holding the back of his head. Is he all right? Lim wondered. Did I really invest badly in the strike? Lim wondered. Looks like it, considering how you're dodging. We say Kim striking at Lim, but none of his punches hit the target. Judging from this guy's movements, it doesn't seem like he knows how to fight properly, Lim thought. We see Lim step back after each amble attack. Stop jumping around and come here, Kim shouted. It'll all be over if he grabs me, Lim thought. We see Kim's aggressive face. At the same time, Lim was as focused as possible. If so, then, Lim thought. I'll keep dodging and hitting until he falls, Lim thought as he punched Kim's head. We see the pizzeria where Lim worked. I'm sure I've already dealt enough blows, Lim thought. We can see that the main character is starting to get tired of fighting. But it feels like he's at least henna. Moreover, the main character thought. We can see the marks of blows on Kim's face, but he's smiling. He's got me cornered, Lim thought. We see Lim's confused face. Come here, little thing, Kim said. We see Kim grab Lim by the scruff of the neck. Kim then punched Lim in the face. The main character had a hard time. His punches. Too heavy. Didn't I tell you that you would die if you fought me? Kim asked. We see an evil smile on the big guy's face. Didn't I stand a chance against him in the first place? The main character wondered. You'd better listen to me. We see Kim choking Lim with both hands. Kim's grip tightens. I can't breathe, thought Lim. Stop it, shouted Naeun. Na Naeun? Lim thought. We see how the girl tried to stop the big guy. Get off, Kim said as he pushed Naeun back with one hand. No, Daejun, Naeun was shouting. Really me. I'll never stop being that jackass Jun, the main character thought. We see Kim squeezing the main character's throat hard. You said Lim Daejun could handle that guy. Cho spoke. I thought he was a good fighter, but he went off the rails a couple of times. Who knew he'd be stabbed? Cha answered. We see the continuation of the conversation on the phone in the auto repair shop. In any case, don't overdo it. There are guys who can't fight no matter how much you teach them. Cha continued his speech while holding a coffee in his hands. Not everyone is a genius like you, Cha said on the phone. Really? Cho said, continuing his thought while talking on the phone. That he has all the makings, Cho said. The second rule in a street fight, Lim thought. We see how hard it is for the main character to have a neck that is squeezed with two hands by an amble. Block their vision, Lim thought. We see the main character spit in Kim's face. My eye, the thing, Kim said as he tried to rub his eye. We can see that Lim has finally started to breathe. I'll finish them off, Lim said. At this time, the main character struck Kim in the face. Still trying, Kim said. At this time, the main character continued to hit Kim's head. At least 100 days in a row, bae, the difference will not be, Kim said. A smile can be seen on his face. Third in a street fight, Lim thought. We can see his serious expression. Find something suitable at your fingertips and, thought Lim. We see Lim grab a glass bottle. Strike, the main character thought. We see Lim hit Kim in the face with a bottle. The bastard's gone off the rails, Kim thought after missing a shot. We see that Kim missed another hit to the face with a bottle. Straight, jab, straight, jab, Lim repeated, throwing a series of punches at Kim's face. Enough, Naeun said. Daejun, Naeun said. We can see her confused face. You've got blood all over your hands, Naeun continued. We can see that the glass bottle has started to crack and Lim has blood on his hands. It's better than nothing, Lim thought as he threw a strong right hand right at Kim's head. I was already stabbed last time, Lim thought as he recalled his last fight with the bandits. You think? Thought Lim. We see Lim hit Kim's head with a bottle. Kim is bleeding a lot. Direct, Lim said. We see that from the last blow of Lim, the bottle broke down and broke into pieces. Am I afraid of something like this? Lim thought after delivering his punch. We can see that Kim took significant damage from missing punches. Daejun, you can stop now, Naeun screamed, trying to stop Daejun. The jab. Lim repeated as if he had become spellbound. We see Naeun crying and trying to stop Lim. He's already unconscious. Naeun continued. We see Kim lying on the floor unconscious. Did the little boy beat up this giant? Naeun's father wondered. We can see his surprised face, and there are traces of beatings on his face. If ever again. If I see you hanging around, I'll kill you, Lim said. We can see traces of the battle on the main character's face. And all the bastards like you. I'll tear you apart, the main character said. We can see the anger on his face. This time it wasn't luck. I finally whitewashed it on my own, Lim thought. Are you okay, Dajun? Naeun asked. We see Lim fall to his knees after the fight. I'll just get some rest, Lim thought. We see the main character's eyes close. This is just the beginning, Lim thought. What's going on here? Asked the bandits who entered the pizzeria. I thought he'd already found it, but I couldn't pick up the phone. But it looks like he was knocked out, a bandit with light-colored hair asked. It couldn't have been done by Choke and that girl, another bandit answered. Wow, maybe this uncle is stronger than he looks. Will you fight with us? The bandits asked with a grin. This, the pizza shop owner answered. Hey, I cut that pig's throat, Lim said as he got to his feet. Daejun, you can barely stand up. Naeun was saying. Lim waved Naeun out of the way. A foot-to-fist control jab. Something Lim wasn't saying clearly. I made it all up, Lim thought. If this is how I can bury those scum. Lim thought as he recalled his humiliation at the hands of Lee Doyun's gang. I will continue to fight no matter what, Lim thought. I'll beat you both up, Lim shouted as he looked at the bandits. What was that madman saying? One of the bandits said. We see a blur of the second bandit. We see that the head of the bandit who just spoke out was hit with a fist. They show us Lim's surprised face. Kim Teek walked into the pizza place. Kim Teek? Lim was surprised. We are shown the aftermath of the attack on the pizzeria. Kim's gaze went down. How did you get here? Lim wondered. We see the surprised faces of everyone who worked in the pizzeria. You did a good job. I'll take care of the rest, Kim said while braiding his hair into a ponytail. Bring. We see two bandits who have already managed to get from Kim. Who can't wait to die first? Kim asks. We see Kim rolling up his sleeves to get ready for a fight. We see the pizza place where Lim recently defeated Amble. Next, we see Lim and Naeun's surprised face. The bandits decided to attack Kim together. We see Kim preparing to throw a left-handed punch. Next, we see a page where Kim throws a left-handed punch to the attacker's head. The second attacker was kicked in the head. How strong, Lim thought as he watched Kim smash the bandits' faces in. Kim Teek thought Lim. We see Kim preparing to kick. On the next page, we see the kick itself. Damn strong, Lim thought as he watched Kim scatter the bandits. We see the pizzeria again. Tell me, Kim said. Who sent you? Kim asked, holding one of the gang members by the scruff of the neck. Speak. You're the one who gassed us, aren't you? Kim asked as he threatened the bandit with his fist. Wait a minute, the bandit replied. Chun Kai-un. The bandit replied. We can see the surprise on Kim's face. Chun Kai-un ordered us to do this. But I had nothing to do with your poisoning. The bandit continued to talk. We see the surprised faces of Naeun and his father. Before the bandit could finish his sentence, he was kicked in the head. I knew it was those bastards from Gwanghae. Kim said he was standing on the beaten ground by the bandits. Gwanghae? Lim asked. Who are they, and why would they do that? Lim asked. Was that what the guy was talking about? Lim thought about what he had heard, remembering his first fight in which he had won. Having lived here, you probably already realized that there is a problem with security in this area, Kim said. We see Kim standing with his back to the audience. It's been a long time since the police gave up on the endless fight against local crime, and this completely untied the mafia's hands, allowing them to conduct their business in peace. We see various representatives of gangs and the moment when a man is attacked by a bandit with a knife. "So they're mafia members?" Lim asked, looking at the big guy he was able to knock out. "A mafia group," Kim answered. "They were destroyed by a criminal group in the area." Kim continued his thought while looking at Lim. "Gwanghi, that's what they call themselves." We see a group of faces standing in the shadows. Gwanghi controls this place just like the mafia they took out. We see a group of bandits standing over the victim. And the most evil bastard in Gwanghi is called Chun Kai, and we see Chun in full growth. Most likely, they targeted us because of the fact that, Kim said, we see a shocked Lim. We got in their way when they tried to take over our part of the neighborhood. Kim said, we see that Kim and Cho beat up members of the Gwanghi gang. To think that they would come all the way here, even though we made it so they couldn't get to the pizza place. Kim said, Tech, actually, continued the owner of the pizzeria. Our restaurant is already being looked after by Chun Kai-un. Naeun's father continued to hold her head in his hands. And why have you been silent all this time? Kim asked. There was no way I could talk about it, Naeun's father said. After all, the cruelty of these scum. We see Naeun's shocked father. Something burns in front of him. There is no limit. The owner of the pizzeria continued his story. We see a burning building. Didn't they say that the fire was caused by a short circuit? No, mister. Kim has something wrong in the kitchen. Passers-by talked while discussing the fire. Are you all right, mister? Kim? How could the fire have? Asked Naeun's father. Kwan, Kim said. What? Naeun's father asked. This is the work of the people from Gwanghi. Kim spoke while holding his head with his hands. I couldn't get you into any more trouble with these lunatics. We see Kim's angry face. Same thing, Lim thought. We see the main character upset. Thank you for helping us, Dajun, Naeun said, her whole body shaking with fear. School. Streets. We see Lim trying to comfort Naeun. But they might come for us again, Naeun continued. I'm scared, Naeun said. At this time, tears were streaming down her cheeks. There are bad people everywhere, Lim thought. These scum are everywhere, and if you can't avoid them then... Lim thought as he recalled being bullied by Lee Doyoung's gang. We see the main character's angry face. Jun Kai-woon, ye made it to the pizza place? Cha asked while talking on the phone. Heck, yes, when he had time, Cha said. Those bastards from Gwanghi decided to run over us, Kim said. We see that the conversation between friends continues. We must take retaliatory measures against them. You know how dangerous Chun Kai-woon is, Kim said as he continued his dialogue with Cha. First things first, make sure they don't get to you, Kim said. We can see that Cha was paying attention to what was happening to his left. Cha Daeb? Kim asked. We see that the bandits are smashing up the store and a grandmother is sitting on the ground with a child. We see a close-up of bandits who destroy everything. The child is crying and the grandmother is trying to calm him down. Ah, two. Cha said. What? What's going on there? Kim asked. I have to go, Cha answered. We see that Cha is going to help the grandmother with the baby. Oh shit. Should I hit you to make it better? The bandit asked while holding a stick. I'm sorry I stopped to rest because I wasn't feeling well, but I don't have much. The old lady replied. We got your excuses. Give me the money, the bandit said as he swung his stick. Cha's hand stopped the stick just before it hit. We see a grandmother who closed her eyes and prepared for the impact. Who else are you? The bandit asks. We can see that Cha is ready to fight. Next, we see that Cha delivered a direct blow to the bandit's head. The thing, do you even know who you're running into? We are Gwanghi, a group of scumbags said. We see 4 representatives of Gwanghi. Oh, really? Cha asked. We see Cha running in the direction of the bandits. On the next page, we see that Cha jumped high up. And I do fuck, Cha said while smiling. We see a broken shop window. Phew. Fucking assholes, Cha said. We see that the bandits are lying on the ground after the fight with Cha. "Are you like Grandma?" Cha asked. "Behind you," my grandmother answered. We see that the child is in the place of the grandmother crying. Next, we see a bloody bat. We see that the blow hit the head from behind. Cha fell forward. "I found one." We see Chun standing with his gang. "Cho Hangul 6, Chun said. We can see the smirk on his face. "Who the hell did you call a 6? Cha asked while holding his head with his hand. We can see that he was bleeding from the blow he received. We see the main character's house. "So what do we do now?" Hong asks. We see that all the friends are gathered in the house. "We need to get out of here. What was it about this pizza place that made you decide to contact Guanghe? How could an escaped asshole like you help them?" Hong asked Kim while waving her hands. "I'm sorry I dragged you into this," Kim said. "But," we see Kim's mouth. "They were making delicious pizza," Kim continued. Kim said while looking at Hong. "What did the man on the head just say?" Hong asked. "Is he even right?" Ha said. "Why are you nodding?" Hong asked. We see a heated discussion between friends. "Take this seriously. Are you insinuating that we should deal with them with our own forces?" Hong was shouting at her friends. "Well," said Kim. "And where is Joe Hangul when you need him so badly?" Hong asked. "And what will happen to the guys now?" Lim thought. "By the way, when is Dayon supposed to be back?" Everyone received a notification on their phone at the same time. They all received a notification from Cha Dayeb. We see Hong's surprise. In the image sent to friends, we see Cha sitting on the floor with his hands tied. It is in a terrible state. "I sent a message to all my friends. Abandoned factory near Zuzan Woods." We see Hong's grin. "The creatures," Hong said while looking at the photo with Cha. We see an abandoned building. Hey, Chun says while slapping Cha's face. "Why don't your friends come?" Chun asks Cha. We see Cha's bloodied face. "If they don't show up here in 10 minutes, I'm dead." Before Chun could finish his sentence, Cha interrupted him. "Kill me," Cha said. "They'd be better off with one less mouth," Cha said. We can see the smile on his face. "Dumbass." "You're bluffing," Chun said as he swung the bloody bat. We see the four of them approach an abandoned building. We see a flashback in which Hong talks about the upcoming battle with bandits. "Right, we'll take over," Kim said. We see a bunch of bandits who are serious. "All of Guanghe," Kim continued. We see a smile on Chun's face, and also serious guys. A few minutes earlier, Daejin, Kim turned to the main character. We see that the whole company is going to deal with Guanghe. "Are you sure you want to go there? If not, leave while you still have a chance," Kim said. We see that all the friends have turned to look at Lim. "I can help," Lim said. "Are you sure about that?" Kim asked. We see a dialogue between two friends. "Are you sure you won't be a burden to the others?" Kim asked. We see a frustrated main character who realizes that he will have a hard time. We see the abandoned building again. The entire gang surrounded Joe Hangul's family. "Too many of them here." "At least 10 people," Hong said. "See Cha Daeba?" Kim asked. We can see that Lim is surprised by the number of bandits. "He's in there," said one of Kim's friends. "And the one next to him is Chun Kai-un," one of my friends asked. We see Cha sitting on the floor with his head down. "Well, what are you doing here? I could have easily escaped myself," Cha said. At this time, a baseball bat was flying at the back of his head. "If you touch him again," Kim said. "The what?" Chun asked. We see the anger of all the family members. "What will you do if I touch him?" Chun asked while he was standing on Cha's head. "The Hangul family was praised so much, they said you were strong, but in reality you were a bunch of suckers. Joe Hangul didn't dare show up at all," Chun said with a smirk on his face. "That's what happens when you rely on an idiot like him," Chun said. We see Kim's angry face. "Why are you listening to this jerk?" Hong asked. "Hey, Goatbeard, stop playing the cool guy," Hong continued. "You look like a schmuck with your goatee." Hong said, pointing her finger at Chun. Let's see how much more chatter you can do, Chun said. Okay, the bandit continued. Smash these bastards, Chun said. We see a mob of bandits running towards Joe Hangul's family. No matter how strong the guys were, would they be able to handle such a crowd? Lim thought as he worried about the outcome of their fight. Looks like, thought Lim. We can see the surprise on his face. Can they? Lim wondered. We see Hangul's family fighting quite successfully against the bandits. We see Kim preparing to strike. With a single punch, he knocked 3 of them back. Hangul Kim Teek's family. We see how Ha dodged the blow. Scum, said the bandit who didn't hit the Ha. We can see how fast X is approaching his opponent. Ha then deals a series of blows to his enemy. We're in. Hangul Ha Sun Bin's family. Stop shaking and come here, you bastards, the bandit said as he walked towards Lim and Hong. They're coming. I have to protect Geen, Lim thought and closed it behind him. This action raised questions for Hong. Move, you're in the way, Hong said as he pushed Lim away with his hand. Then we see Hong go behind the bandit's back. What is this thing? The bandit said. You'd better let go, the bandit said. We see Hong grab the bandit's belt. Me? Before the bandit could say anything, he flew upside down. Hong performed a deflection throw. Guys, Lim thought. He was shocked by Hong's strength. Hangul Hong Gion's family. And who was shaking here? Hong asked as she warmed up to the next opponents. They're all so strong, Lim thought after seeing the whole family in action. I have to fight too, Lim thought as he watched his friends fight. But I do not know where to squeeze in. Lim was thinking as one of the bandits fell at his feet. We see a bandit running towards Lima. At this time, Kim struck at the bandit. Looks like we've already dealt with half of it. At this rate, Kim thought, but his thoughts were interrupted. Kim noticed something was wrong. Kim managed to avoid a blow to the head with a baton. Thanks to his reflexes, Kim managed to avoid being hit by the bat. Did you dodge? Chun asked. His face showed disdain for his opponent. Jun Kai unbastard, Kim thought. I wanted to save it for last, Kim thought. You don't seem so bad, do you? Chun said with a smile on his face. We see how both characters rushed to meet each other. Come on, Chun said. Come here, Chun said. We see that Kim has blocked the bat with his hand. At this time, Lim was hit by a block. He's fast, so it's not easy to dodge. Lim thought as he dodged the bandit's punches. Lim was walking back, but then he noticed that he was bumping into a barrel of firewood. Lim grabbed the log that was burning inside the barrel. He slapped the log across the bandit's face. I did it, Lim thought as he rejoiced at the victory. We see that the bandit was not stopped by this blow, and with a burn on his face, he continued the fight. Don't move, the bandit said. We can see the surprise of Hangul's family. Otherwise, I'll slit that puppy's throat, the bandit spoke, holding a piece of metal at the main character's neck. We can see that the main character's cut is already bleeding. Get on your knees now if you don't want your friend to die here, the bandit shouted. We can see that everyone is paying attention to the situation. Haha, what is it? Fly in, why are you frozen? Chun said while looking at Kim. Kim looked a little confused. Kim lowered his hands. Haha, what are you guys burning up for, you assholes? Can't move because of one kid? Chun spoke with a smile on his face. It would be better to leave this dead weight at home. Haha, Chun continued. We see that one of the bandits put a knife to the main character's throat. Kim looked surprised. Kim Teek, it will be a pity to say goodbye to you. Forget about these idiots and come to me. I'll take your share, Chun said as he put the bat to Kim's head. Think carefully about your answer. Of course, if you don't want your homeless life to end so stupidly here, Chun said. We can see the surprise on Chun's face. You think he's dead weight? Guys, you seem to underestimate him, Kim said. Kim had a smile on his face. What? Chun asked. We can see Chun's surprise. After that, we see Kim throw a right-handed punch directly at Chun's jaw. We see a flashback of Kim and Lim's conversation. "I still want to go," Lim said. "Don't be so hard-headed," Kim said. If Lim began to speak. "I'll drag you down," Lim continued. We see that Kim is looking at Lim intently. "Just drop me," the main character said confidently. There was a certain confidence in what he was saying in his eyes. "What are you doing? You really want to see that bastard is..." The bandit didn't finish his speech. We can see the surprise on the bandit's face. On the next page, we see Lim grabbing the bandit's arm and grabbing the blade with his other hand. "That brat is him," the bandit said. We can see the bandit's surprise. If he was looking for a hostage, then you made the wrong choice, Kim said. We see flashbacks where Lim writes a will. "I'm the one who wrote the suicide note," Lim said. "And this wasn't some asshole joke," Lim said while holding the blade with one hand while smiling. We see the effects of Kim's punch to Chun's face. "This kid," Kim thought. We see Lim hit the attacker with the back of his head. "Probably the craziest of us all," Kim continued his thought. The bandit fell to the ground after being hit. We can see the bleeding coming from Lim's arm. Hangul's family was surprised by the outcome. "There's no one among us who would give up without a fight," Kim said while looking at Chun. "Motherfucker, shut your mouth," Chun said. "Do you think you've already won?" Chun asked, running his hand over the spot where Kim had hit him. "We'll see. How you gonna sing when I beat the shit out of you?" Chun said. We can see that the battle between Hangul's family and Guanghe's group continues. We also see that Kim and Chun have continued their fight. We see a continuation of the fight between Kim and Chun. Kim threw a kick and Chun was able to block it with a bat. Then Chun himself hit Kim with the bat. Kim shielded himself from the blow by putting up a block. Does the block make any sense at all? Kim thought about it. We see that the blow fell on the shoulder. The bat makes it harder for me to get close to him. Besides, this asshole is surprisingly careful and has almost no weak spots in his defense. We see Chun swinging the bat in front of him, preventing Kim from getting close to him. Make one strong swing all at once, Kim thought. We can see that Kim has quite a difficult time in battle. He barely dodges the bat. We see Chun moving towards Kim with a heavy swing. We see a very focused look on Kim's face. We see that two bandits suddenly grabbed Kim. At this time, Chun looks as focused as possible. "Go to hell," Kim said as he punched one of the bandits who were holding him down. At this time, Chun was approaching Kim with a strong swing. At this time, Lim hit the back of Chun's head with a stick, causing the stick to shatter into pieces. "Lim dajin," Chun said, surprised at what had just happened. Chun himself was holding on to the spot on the back of his head where the blow had landed. We see Lim's surprised face. He clearly didn't expect that hitting Chun's head would have no effect. "Creature, there will be no end to these bastards," Chun said. We can see that Chun got angry after being hit by the main character. "It doesn't look quite strong. Don't worry, I've already defeated one." Lim thought that the main character's entire body was shaking from the mere sight of Chun. "I'm not afraid of such scumbags anymore," Lim thought. "Are you sure about this?" Chun asked as he approached Lim. "Really want to," Chun continued. We see the face of the main character who is shaking with fear of the bandit approaching him. "Compete with me?" Chun asked as he approached Lim. His eyes were bloodshot, and his whole appearance showed that he was ready to go to the end. "Wait Chun Kai Unhe," thought Lim. We can see the fear in the protagonist's eyes. "Another, he's nothing like anyone I've ever encountered before," Lim thought to himself as he thought of all the others he had already fought. "If I fight him, I will definitely die," Lim thought. At this moment, the protagonist felt that Chun was huge and Lim himself was small. A huge shadow covered the main character. I thought it wouldn't happen again. But just like before, my body just froze, Lim thought. We see flashbacks of Lim being humiliated by Lee Do-yoon's gang. We see Chun's grin. On the next page, we see Lim getting hit in the stomach with a baton. The damage from the impact is enormous. "Don't turn up your nose just because your buddies have your back, you idiot," Chun said. We can see Chun smiling after hitting the main character. "No, maybe I won't be able to move because of fear," Lim thought. We can see the consequences of a missed shot. "I'll finish you off after I beat up your buddies," Chun said as he turned away from the main character. We can see the surprise on Chun's face. Hangel's family dealt with the entire gang, so they believed in themselves, having dealt with small fry. But don't you think that 1 in 3 is a bit unfair for a bunch of pseudo-heroes? Chun asked. We see an evil grin on the bandit's face. "Do you still have the nerve to say that?" Hong said. We can see that the girl is extremely serious. "Chun Kai-woon sorry," Kim said. "The word honest doesn't apply to you," Kim said. We see a trio of friends rushing into battle. We see Ha rapidly approaching Chun. Chun himself prepared to hit with the bat. Chun threw a punch, but Ha managed to dodge the blow. Ha stabbed Chun's liver. "I hit it perfectly," thought Ha. We can see the surprise on Wu Ha's face. "He doesn't care?" wondered Ha. We can see the smile on Wu Chun's face, and it looks like Ha's punch didn't do any damage. We see Kim attack from behind and try to shackle Chun by grabbing him by the leather jacket. We see that Chun kicked out at Ha. At this time, Hong ran up from the side and grabbed Chun's leg. "Get him out of here," Hong said. "Okay, he's almost there," Kim said. We see that under the pressure of 2 people, Chun begins to lose his balance. Ah, Chun started shouting. We can see the uncontrollable anger on Wu Chun's face. Chun caught the bat in his other hand. We see that he hit Hong. The girl was thrown several meters away after the impact. Chun grabbed Kim's arm, and he threw it. Kim flew a few meters away. "What kind of animal is this?" Hong said while holding her stomach. "Don't worry. As long as we don't lower our guard, everything will be fine," Kim said. We can see that the whole trio is serious. "That bastard. No matter how strong he is, we have the advantage. But why does he look so cocky?" Kim pondered the situation. "This is the last time I've suggested it, so think carefully." "Work for me, haha," Chun said. The bandit looked extremely confident in his abilities. "What's gotten into your head so hard?" "I'd rather get off the streets and go home," Hong said. We see that the girl is serious. She is preparing to join the battle again. Chun's grin never left his face. "You had a chance to survive, but you missed it yourself," Chun said, and then the bandit hit the shelf. Changul's family started to look around. We see other bandits approaching Cho's friends. A decent number of bandits had formed around the trio. How many bastards are there anyway? Kim thought, his face showing concern at what was happening as the enemy's advantage in numbers dramatically changed the situation. "Finish them," Chun said. By ordering his bandits to attack Hangel's family, we see a close-up of the building where the battle between Hangel's family and Guanghe's gang took place. Ha and Hong were lying on the floor in a battered state. "Hey, do you want to hear something interesting?" Chun asked. In front of him, Kim was kneeling in a battered state. "My guys whispered that those assholes at your favorite pizza place lied to us about not knowing you. These rats seem to have forgotten who they're dealing with, so I sent a friend of mine to see them," Chun said. "We see Kim's battered face," Kim said. "Yoon Seungbo Guanghe has a repulsed psychopath who is obsessed with arson. I downloaded Chun." We see a creature in the background of Chun laughing as the building goes up in flames. "Wait a minute," Kim said. "Don't be so nervous," Chun said as he scanned the messages on his phone. "This psycho will make sure that the pizzeria remains a pile of ashes," Chun said while holding the phone while smiling. We can see that Chun is grimacing. Lim bit Chun's leg. "What the fuck? Let me go, you dog," Chun said as he kicked the main character's head. "He's crazy. This asshole is scary as hell," Lim thought. At this time, the main character's head was being hit by blows from Chun. But let him burn down the restaurant. Nayeon's been through enough already. Lim thought as he recalled what Naeun and her father had gone through. Stay out of the restaurant. I told Lim not to let go of Kim's leg. That bastard, why it won't detach itself. Chun thought as he looked down on Lim. Get off, Chun said as he hit Lim's face with the bat. I'll spend more time on you here, Chun said as he scanned the messages on his phone. Hey Seungbo, about that fucking pizza place, Chun said. The bandit got through to the arsonist and says about the destruction of the restaurant. Agasia? Came from the phone. What? This voice, Chun thought. We can see the surprise on the bandit's face. We see that a shadow has appeared in front of the bandits. Looking for me? Said the unknown. We see the arsonist that Chun called fly into the building after being badly beaten. This action surprised the other bandits. Yoon Seungbo. The bandits were talking. We see a close-up of the arsonist's battered face. He has no living space on his face. Is he the crazy pyromaniac Cho, who had come to fight Gwang Hee's gang? Asked. Haven't there been a lot of psychopaths lately? Cho asked. We see Chun's angry face. Are you guys also beginning psychos? Cho asked as he arrived at the scene of the gang fight while holding his phone. Today Cho said, we see a battered Lim looking at Cho. I won't stop no matter how much you beg, Cho said. We can see that Cho is serious. Joe Hangul, one of the gang members, said, we see that an impressive group of people has gathered in front of Cho. I thought you'd run away, but I see I've decided to stop by for a light. Chun said, we can see that Chun is confident in his abilities. Yoon Seungbo also rolled it into bloody mincemeat. Chun said, the bandits discussed Cho's arrival among themselves, as well as the fact that Yoon was now incapable of anything. If you were so kind as to invite us, that's right from the beginning. I'm so tired of looking for you. Cho said while showing the phone screen. Well, I think you've pretty much crushed my guys, and they are not so easy to deal with. It's been a while since I've seen Teak get hit so hard, Chun said. We can see that Hangul's entire family is in a bad state. That's why you shouldn't have gotten in our way. Why did you even need to pry into our business? Chun asked. Dick, I put on your business mafiosi unfinished. Your dirty business didn't concern me at all, but since you decided to meddle with my family, Cho said, we see that two characters are facing each other. Don't even dream of getting out of here in one piece, Cho said. Cho's expression was serious. This bastard is taking too much on himself, one of the bandits said and tried to attack Cho. Cho blocked the kick and took a step to the side. After that, Cho grabbed the bandit's arm and used a painful move to break the bandit's arm. Ah, the bandit shouted. We see Chun watching his subordinate suffer. Fly you because much more, Cho said with a smirk on his face. The bandits began to discuss what had just happened and concluded that they would meet the same fate as their accomplice. Stupid people, what hatched? Go and finish him off, Chun shouted as he tried to get his subordinates to attack Joe Hangul. $100 to whoever brings this bastard to me, Chun said, trying to motivate his subordinates to attack Cho. The crowd surged into battle, shouting. We can see the absolutely calm expression on Cho's face. Cho dodged one man's punch and then delivered a right cross to the head of another bandit. We see that the bandit missed a punch and went for a knockout, while Cho grabbed the man behind him by the scruff of the neck. We see Cho throw a man at the other bandits. We see that one of the bandits sneaked up on Cho from behind and tried to grab him. Cho picked up a piece of wood from the ground. We see Cho hit the attacker on the head with a piece of wood. At the same time, one of the bandits was already attacking Cho from the front. Cho dodged by taking a step to the side. The bandit's kick missed its target. Cho used a neck grab and swung the piece of wood that was in his hand. We see that Cho struck with this piece of wood and the bandit began to bleed. Joe Hangul, back on the construction site, he was just fooling around. Lim thought as he lay on the floor and watched the head of the family smash the faces of the gang members. So that's what he's really capable of, Lim thought. We see Cho strike the bandit's head with his right hand. Wu Chun's face is angry. Joe Hangul, don't move, Chun said. We see that Cho is surrounded by bandits. Unless, of course, you want that idiot to be crippled for the rest of his life, Chun said while holding Kim's hand, threatening to break his arm. We see a serious-minded Cho. Meanwhile, Cho strikes at one of Guanghe's bandits. Are you serious? Chun shouted. Sure, go ahead, Chun said. We see that Chun is determined to cripple Kim. I said do it, asshole, Cho said. We can see that Cho isn't worried about the consequences of his words. What's wrong with this frostbite? Chun said. Hyung isn't the type to be deterred by such threats, Kim said. If only he cared about that, Kim said. We can see the smile on his face. He would never have gone this far, Kim said. We see Cho headbutt another person's head. Excellent thanks to its wonderful Hangul, Chun said. We see his angry face. You can say goodbye to your hand. We see that Chun is swinging to strike at Kim's hands. Look at this, Joe Hangul. Don't you regret it? It's because of you that he's like this now, Chun said after crippling Kim. Cho barely noticed what had just happened. Sorry, Cho asked. At this time, he struck a barrel in which firewood was burning. We see that Cho made a dash in the direction of the bandits. We'll see who's going to be sorry at the end, said Kim. Jumped over the fire that flew out of the barrel. Joe Hangul, Chun thought. We see Chun's angry face. I heard that Joe Hangul's family is in the territory under your control. I don't envy you. You've heard rumors that Brat Hangul is as strong as his older brother from Guanghe. The person standing in the shadows said, What do you mean, Hyung? Chun asked. We see a flashback in which the bandits discuss Cho. And what is not clear? Don't mess with Joe Hangul's gang, the man in the shadows said. We can see the bewilderment on Chun's face. Do you think we should give up on them, even though they're trying to get us out of the way? Chun asked. Exactly. You can shake money from anyone you want as long as you avoid them. If you contact them, it won't end well, the man in the shadows said. Do you want me to let them live in peace while they interfere with my business? Chun asked. Fuck them, Chun said. I'll just kill these bastards, Chun thought. At this time, the bandit struck at Cho. Then no one will bother us anymore, Chun thought. We see that the bandit swings hard before striking. We see Chun randomly swinging the bat in front of him, trying to hit Cho. Cho puts other gang members under attack. The blow flew directly into the face of one of the gangsters, Guanhe. That bastard doesn't even pay attention to me? Chun thought about it. We see Cho dodge Chun's punches and beat up other gang members of Guanghe along the way. The creature is finished, Chun shouted as he swung the bat at Cho. We can see the shock in Chun's eyes. Chun hit one of the members of his own gang with his bat. Phew. Well, here's the last one left, Cho said. We see that all around them are the excess gang members. This cattle. Did you put them all down while you were dealing with me? Chun thought as he was shocked by what he saw. I like to leave sweets for last, Cho said. We see Chun's angry face. Shut your mouth, Chun said as he tried to throw a punch. At this time, Cho dodged the blow and threw a left-handed punch to Chun's face. We see Chun miss a series of punches from Cho. You're a tough guy. Now it's clear why you're having trouble with yourself. Only here, Cho said. We see Chun approaching Cho, shouting, You can't beat me, Cho said while kicking the bandit's body. We can see that the bat was bent by the impact, and Chun himself took significant damage from the impact. Lift. I'm not done with you yet, Cho said. We see that Chun has fallen to his knees. Nasty stuff, Chun said. We can see that his eyes are bloodshot. Fuck you, Chun said and threw himself at Cho, trying to knock the latter to the ground. We see how Chun managed to knock Cho to the ground, and Chun sat on top of him and started throwing a series of punches at Cho. Pancake. This freak is nothing like that, Chun thought as he recalled his conversation with the Shadow Man. So why do you say avoid him like that? Chun thought. We can see the surprise on his face. We can see Wu Chun's shock. Cho used a technique called the elbow lever. Oh, Damn, thought Chun, caught on a painful reception. Pancake, beast, you broke it, Chun shouted while grabbing his arm. Yes, I heard, Cho said. Your friend Yoon Seungbo told me that you were behind our poisoning. We see Cho interrogating gang member Gwang Hee.